talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
1 minute past 10. Good morning. A shower of plastic cups, a cut to the head of the goal scorer, police officers punched, seats torn out, missiles thrown onto the field. It was an awful night of fan behaviour from young boys at Villa Park.
I felt for the police because they're probably held back of what they can actually do, but it was so frustrating to watch fans throwing punches to the face of the police.
In the late 80s, I played a year in Switzerland. And I've never seen any trouble at all.
Donyell Marlin showed great courage to stand tall and score a winning brace. Meanwhile, Sean Dyche is flying at Forest out the relegation zone after storming Anfield, and a second 3-0 victory in the space of a week as Malmo were dispatched in front of the watching 1979 Legends squad.
We've laid down some really good markers, I think. For us, I mean, not against what people think from the outside. I mean, our internal markers for what the group should expect from themselves. And I'm really pleased for everyone who's worked so hard, my staff and the players, because it's important that you do get a reward, and the reward is winning games.
In Australia, another opportunity for England to win a game as Cummins and Hazelwood remain absent from the Australia squad for the second test in Brisbane, but pink ball supremo Mitchell Starc still poses a world-class threat, of course. Meanwhile, is Pep showing signs of exasperation? Here's former City and Leeds left-back Danny Mills.
Pep's been in the job now, 8-9 years? It's a long time for Pep. You know, he normally does 3 or 4 because of the levels of intensity that he demands.
Yeah.
The squad isn't as good as it used to be. Nowhere near it.
And no Jack Morgan for Wales at the start of the next Six Nations. The Lions flankers had surgery on the shoulder he dislocated against Argentina.
talkSPORT News.
Labour's U-turn on its manifesto pledge on workers' rights, with Sir Keir Starmer getting criticism from his own MPs. And on Black Friday, we're told phishing scams have jumped by 600% this month. Amelia's got more at 5:30.
talkSPORT weather with Quick Fit. For a limited time only, get 20% off a set of 4 premium tyres in our Black Friday event. Book today at quickfit.com and drive away happy every time. Conditions apply.
Plans of showers continuing to move southeastwards throughout the day. Some heavy with the risk of thunder. Sunnier skies developing in between. Southeast England generally staying dry, feeling fresher than yesterday and staying rather windy.
Hello, very good morning to you. It is Friday. It's Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and the former Chelsea defender Scott Minto, and we're live on talkSPORT this morning. Thank you very much for joining us. So an eventful night of European football. Nottingham Forest partied like it was 1979, and fan violence unfortunately stole the show at Aston Villa. Were the opposition provoked, or is it time that fans took accountability? Meanwhile, a week to save his Liverpool job. Hyperbole or realism around Arne Slot? Is Jamie Carragher right to say it? Also today, Moises Caicedo and Declan Rice face off in the battle of Europe's top midfield players as Chelsea take on Arsenal on Sunday. As Martin O'Neill is set to bow out at Celtic, what are they getting in Wilfried Nancy, and how young is too young to be represented by an agent? We answer all those questions and more live on talkSPORT this morning with Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Scott Minto. It is 10 o'clock, it is Friday, it must be Fun Boy Friday, and I've got 2 of my best mates in the studio. Yes, indeed, 3 games in 4 days. Crookie's acting like he's just done a full festive fixture list. He didn't even turn up for the podcast yesterday because he was too tired, he overslept, but he is here today. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, feeling recharged after that impromptu lie-in yesterday.
You said to me yesterday on the podcast, when you did turn up with like 7 minutes to go, Scott, was it?
I thought it was probably 10. Let's give him a little bit of credit.
Okay.
But it's a 45
A great
minute
10
podcast.
minutes, though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's all about quality, not quantity.
It did go, I don't know about you, Sam. It felt like it went really downhill.
I've heard you could deliver quite a lot in 10 minutes. Could you...
More than twice.
Could you just explain to us why you were struggling? What is it? You said it was 3 games in 4 days. That was too much for you, or what?
No, it was a couple of night shifts. I was...
No, it wasn't night shifts. You weren't doing overnights.
I was at Chelsea on Tuesday, watching Scott's old team humble Barcelona, and then watching PSG Tottenham for talkSPORT on Wednesday. And I got back late, and just didn't set an alarm. Usually I'm up at 7:30 like clockwork, but obviously my body was telling me to relax, and you two had it covered.
Yeah. $1 Million Minto is here, the man inflation cannot touch. Had a good week?
Well, it's nice to be given a couple of days' notice instead of a couple of hours' notice. Or in a month or so ago, I think it was 10 minutes' notice. So, mate, great to be here.
Relaxed into it today,
I love it. And you persuaded me, because this time last week you were saying you coming on the White and Jordan Christmas do. I said you had me all dayer, so I'm there.
Okay,
You didn't have to come dressed as the milk tray man, though, mate. It wasn't a stipulation.
It's cold out there, mate, and it could be a long, long day.
It could be a long day. Right, okay, let's talk about what happened last night, because it was a long night for some of those young boys fans, because they caused a lot of trouble yesterday in Villa Park. I was at the game. It was a match that was marred by the violence. Young boys supporters ended up in clashes with police, punches thrown, wholly unnecessary. And how strange, really, is it that we had all that build-up to the big Tel Aviv game, and it was the young boys fans that were tossing cups at players, ripping seats out and exchanging punches with police officers. It was pretty pathetic, really. I thought Aston Villa were wasteful on the night. They could have scored a lot more goals. They should have helped themselves to a hatful. And by not doing so, ended up there was a bit of nervous tension towards the end. But the idea that they provoked trouble by celebrating is absolutely ridiculous to me. Donyell Marlon scored a goal in the 27th minute. He ran over to celebrate in the corner of the stand. Now, half of that is Aston Villa, half of that is young boys. I'm sorry, he was not provoking them. He was immediately targeted by a load of missiles, and it was absolute disgrace.
I think you've used the word that I would. It's pathetic. It's immature. Grow up. You're there to watch football. People score a goal against your team. They can celebrate how they want. Honestly, it's no excuse for mindless thuggery and violence. And hopefully, UEFA for once will clamp down and a proper punishment will be dished out, because you don't need to see it. You know, it was an early kick-off. There'd have been kids there. Maybe you don't get the opportunity to watch live football on a regular basis. And it's absolutely disgraceful that these Swiss fans have done what they've done.
It was maybe something we should have seen coming, though, Scott, because it was in Bern last season that the young boys fans reacted angrily to a Villa goal scorer when John Duran scored before giving offside in the Champions League victory over a year ago.
Yeah, and they've got a bit of history as well, haven't they, for fines of incidents in the Champions League away to City and Celtic last season as well. So, you know, but you can't always foresee it. You can try and plan for something that may be happening, but at the same time, you know, I had someone say to me that, you know, could Donyell Marlon have run to the other side? Well, when you score, you don't necessarily think, not that I did it a million times in my career, but I know what strikers are like. You're facing a certain way. And as you say, he ran past the Villa fans, first of all. And the only slight thing you can say is, did he need to do that sort of knee slide in front? But he was still a fair way off of the fans for the second goal. But what happened with the first goal, where he didn't even get within 30, 40 yards and there were missiles being thrown and he wasn't even looking at them? Just an absolute disgrace. And clearly there's history here with these particular set of fans. For the manager to come out and say, yes, that they were wrong, but the Villa fans, Villa players, you know, perhaps shouldn't be celebrating in the way that they did, I think is just bang out of order and a complete deflection.
Well, this is where this has come from, isn't it? It's Gerard Sione who said it's normal when you score a goal that you want to celebrate with your teammates. Our fans maybe took this like a provocation, but I think it's part of football and our fans should not react so heavily. The referee asked our captain to go to our supporters and he was over there to calm them a bit, and some supporters came down to have a talk, but the police reacted like the fans were going to jump on the pitch, and it was not their intention. I think the police reacted a little bit early. I was in the stand. I was above them. I had to move myself around to get sort of a decent view of it. But I saw punches being thrown by the supporters and one connected with a policeman's head that took his helmet off. So let's not pretend that this was the police trying to cause problems.
They ripped out seats as well, didn't they?
They ripped out seats. There was a bloke who actually smashed up a seat, picked it up and then threw it at a line of policemen. It was, do you know what? It was it was like a riot, really, to be honest. It was like borderline just about to burn into a riot. And I don't know how they calmed it down so quickly, but they managed to do it within sort of 5 or 6 minutes, brought it under a little bit of control. And I think the captain had a role in that. Loris Benito went over and had a chat, but it was just wholly unnecessary. It weren't a great game, by the way.
No.
It was a poor game. And Aston Villa didn't get out of second gear because they didn't have to, because young boys came with no intention. Actually, if they played their two strikers in the first half of the game instead of bringing them on as substitutes, they might have had a better chance. But, the result 2-1 flatters young boys.
The thing that sort of frustrates me a little bit as well, and I'm sure it's already been mentioned, I think Gabby mentioned it this morning, is that with what happened with Newcastle fans as well, if this was the other way around, or English fans were causing any kind of problems at all, it would be called the English disease again.
Yeah.
So I think well done to our fans. I think the way Newcastle fans dealt with it is just incredible. I think it's bang out of order. And it's not just UEFA needs to throw the book at young boys and possible empty stadiums for some games in Europe, but also the same for Marseille as well. Certainly the
French police. There's a long history now of French police mistreating visiting supporters, and it seems particularly the English fans are targets of that. We all remember the Champions League final in Paris, and I don't think UEFA came down hard enough on the French authorities after that incident. So, good luck to any English fans travelling to France, because I do think in the eyes of the French police, they're targets.
To be told you can't wear your shirt around the stadium or around the city for fear of problems, I think just says everything. And again, I go back to, yes, we had problems, and there's still a very small element of there's always going to be in society.
It's nothing like the 80s.
It's nothing like the 80s, and the English do not have the problem. There are other countries who do have it.
I was listening to Jim and Simon yesterday, and there was a brilliant caller talking about what it was like to be in Marseille as a Newcastle fan yesterday, and the idea that they were sort of standing in sewage and kept in for 2 hours after the game, and the travel problems that they had, and banned from the city centre because they weren't allowed to wear their colours, etc., etc. I mean, that experience did not befall the young boys fans. And it was something that I mentioned during the commentary last night. What were they complaining about? What was their problem? Warwick says, what were the young boys fans doing with beer and cups in the stand in the first place? They should have been stopped before it started. It wasn't just when Marlon scored. It was even before that, when we had a corner throw-in on that side. Tom, a Villa fan in Derby. Marlon celebrating in front of young boys fans doesn't excuse the fans' behaviour. That's not a normal reaction to a player celebrating in front of you. Chris, the Villa fan. Hi, guys. Don't celebrate in front of the away fans, says Dave in Corgi. Stop banning fans and ban clubs. Is that a solution? If your fans misbehave, should the club be kicked out of Europe? I actually thought last night, after the goal got in and the cups came raining down, maybe just take the players off and award Villa the victory.
Well, certainly there's a case for young boys being made to play games behind closed doors, because obviously that would hit the club in the pocket. It would stop those supporters from watching their team. These UEFA sanctions don't go far enough. So, yeah, I think there is a case for much harsher punishment when we see scenes like this. And you're right. Travelling fans coming to England, I know we had this, the political situation with the Maccabi fans, or the Tel Aviv fans rather. By and large, it's a good experience to come as a visiting fan from Europe and watch your team in England. We're a lot more accommodating than a lot of our European counterparts.
Unai Emery is looking to win the Europa League for the 5th time. Since the start of the 2023-24 season, no team has won more European games at home than Unai Emery's team. I mean, he looks a decent bet to win it once again, doesn't he?
Do you know what? He is the perfect man for this particular competition because he's done it 4 times, although I thought he was the perfect man for the Europa Conference League, which technically is even easier, and it didn't happen. I think the way he's turned it around from the start of the season, where Villa were very, very poor, and they're never going to be, down the bottom for very long, but the way he has turned it around, it looked like he wasn't happy with what happened with the sort of the transfer budget and the window, and almost he himself, I don't know behind the scenes, I've got no inside information on it, but it just seemed to me as if perhaps he wasn't quite as on it, and now he is, and he has been for some time, and therefore the players are now as well. And when you've got a really fit and firing Unai Emery, he's dangerous. He's dangerous to the rest. And you look where they are in the league, you look what they're capable of in this particular competition. This could be a fantastic season for Villa. And you wouldn't have thought that right at the start in August.
Goals are a problem, though.
I was just going to say they're doing this without a number 9, really, because, again, it was another night where Ollie Watkins, I know he didn't play the whole game, but he's not got himself on the score sheet. Daniel Marlon, I think, is making a claim to be a regular starter in the Premier League because he's come up with some big goals in this competition, and that is a worry from Watkins' perspective because, of course, he's got to force his way back into Thomas Tuchel's World Cup plans.
But it's 10 wins in 12 in all competitions. It's 7 wins on the spin at home. Imagine if Ollie Watkins does come back in the way that we know he's capable of.
Do you think he's unfit or unconfident?
I think it's a confidence thing. I think with Ollie, he is such a specimen that age it's not irrelevant because you do get to a certain point where you can't do what you used to be able to do. But I think he can. I think it's a confidence thing.
Thomas Tuchel said he was suffering from some discomfort, and he doesn't look as fast or as sharp as he did beforehand. That first yard out when he's chasing the ball doesn't look quite as quick.
Yeah, and that's another thing that perhaps people don't realise. Probably for half your career, you come out with something. You're playing with some kind of little knock, whether it's ankle or hamstring, you feel you've got to be careful. And with someone like him, who's such an explosive striker, such an explosive player who can run the channels and make defenders look silly, if he feels he can't do that, then he's probably 75% of the player, maybe even less than that. So he needs to get his body right, and then he needs to get his mind right. And quite often, when you get one right, the other follows quite quickly.
This is talkSPORT. We are here live until 1 o'clock with Alex Crook, Sam Matterface, and Scott Minto, who looks $1 million, by the way. If you want to watch us on YouTube or Facebook, you'll be able to see just how smooth his skin is. The only thing smoother than Scott Minto's skin, by the way, is his first touch when he was a left back at Chelsea back in the day. Crook a little bit more heavy-handed, but then again, I think you've realised that from his verbal delivery.
He'll come out with that Fratton Park goal soon. To shut everyone up.
I won't say it.
Sorry, there you go.
I'm joking. I was going to say I've scored,
just to prove a point.
I've scored more goals at a professional ground this year than Joshua Zirkzee. There you go.
He started already.
And I thought you held yourself to a high standard. Right, OK. After the break, we're talking Crystal Palace. This is talkSPORT with Sam Matterface, Scott Minto and Alex Crook. We're here through to 1 o'clock with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's Real Deal at selcobw.com. talkSPORT, Sam Matterface and Alex Crook, alongside $1 Million Minto today. A bit of breaking news for you. The English FA, the Irish FA, the Scottish FA and the FA of Wales have officially submitted their joint bid to host the 2025 FIFA Women's World Cup. It will be the largest single sporting event ever staged in the UK, the first FIFA World Cup hosted in the country since 1966. The bid includes 22 proposed stadiums, 16 in England, 3 in Wales, 2 in Scotland and 1 in Northern Ireland, across 16 host cities with 63 million people living within 2 hours of a proposed venue. It would be the most accessible tournament ever. So that's been announced in the last few minutes that the English, Irish, Scottish and FA of Wales have officially submitted their joint bid to host the FIFA Women's World Cup of 2035. The bid is built around the powerful vision of all together, a rallying cry for women's football and sport more broadly to empower worldwide. That breaking in the last few minutes here on talkSPORT. Let's talk a little bit about Crystal Palace. You did that game last night. Did they get a little bit of a taste of what life could be like when Mark Gay leaves?
They certainly looked a lot more defensively vulnerable when he was taken off at half-time. I'm yet to hear from Oliver Glasner if that was a pre-planned substitution or if he's got some kind of knock. Manchester United fans will be hoping the latter. But they were made to pay as well for spurned opportunities. I've got to say, it was a brilliant piece of hold-up play from Mateta to make the first goal for Tyreek Mitchell. Ismaila Sarr, I know you think it was a difficult opportunity, but Mike Penders had a habit last night of straying off his line, and Palace spotted that quite early on. It was basically an open goal for Sarr. I actually think he could have probably taken an extra touch before shooting. Wharton in the second half has missed an open goal as well, so they had the chances to kill the game. Credit to Strasbourg, they were much better when Ben Chilwell came off the bench, actually. Still only 28, Chilwell, which surprised me because it feels like he's been around forever. And obviously he was speaking about the fact he wants to get back in the England squad. He did really well when he came on. But that's 2 defeats out of 4 now for Crystal Palace in the Conference League. They will be okay because they've got Shelbourne away, then they've got a Finnish side at home in the last group game. So they should still finish in the top 8. But anyone who thinks that this is going to be a cakewalk for Crystal Palace, I think should think again.
Yeah, ageing left-backs often come to the fore later on in their career, don't they, Scott?
No, I just got injured all the time. But just quickly on Ben Chilwell, one of the best left-back performances I've ever seen was the Champions League final against City.
It was terrific.
And that was under Tuchel. Yeah,
a quick word on Liam Rossinho, who's the Strasbourg manager. He's going to be the Chelsea manager one day, isn't he?
You would think. I mean, it's still a big jump from Strasbourg to Chelsea, but it's a big jump from Leicester to Chelsea. So there's every chance if he believes. I've worked with Liam. I know Liam very, very well. Incredibly intelligent guy, very good coach. Sometimes it's easy to sit on the sidelines and say, well, they should do this. Well, he's actually proving that he can do it. So good luck to him. And he's learning all the time. And I actually spoke to him a couple of months ago and he said he's loving it out there. So no rush for him. He's not looking too far ahead. But I'm sure the hierarchy at Chelsea, I think...
Oh, they've taken notice of them. There's no doubt about that. Oliver Glasner's side now have won 2 and lost 2 of their Conference League phase matches, despite being the dominant side in all of their games. Actually, do you know what? I was at the Larnaca one, and they should have won that one as well. They just took their eye off the ball. It does sort of underscore the fact that the squad isn't as deep as maybe it needs to be to compete in European football. Could that cost them towards the end of the season?
Yeah, because they're trying to compete on 4 fronts, aren't they? They're in the quarterfinals of the League Cup. If I were Oliver Glasner, I would be going strong in that competition because I think Arsenal will rest a few players, as Liverpool did, and obviously they got through that tie. Apparently it was a pre-planned change, Mark Gay coming off at half-time, but the question there is, was that a risk that was worth taking? Because they certainly looked very shaky without him. I think the jury is still out on JD Convo, who didn't have his best night again in France last night. And obviously there is still the possibility they lose Gay in January because his contract is coming to an end. So I think the squad depth will be a problem for Palace as we get to the business end of the season, and history tells us that this is not a club who are going to go out and particularly back their manager when the transfer window does reopen.
I think Glasner is a top-class manager, and yeah, absolutely he needs... I mean, he even alluded to it at the end of the game last night, saying that they probably need a striker as well, or an attacker, to try and add a little bit to it. If they lose Mark Gahey, I mean, I've said this before, and we can talk about Liverpool a little bit later on, the addition of him, but losing Mark Gurley, I'd keep him now. I'd keep him almost unless there's a ridiculous bid. Even if it's another £35 million bid, I'd try and keep him. They got the chance. They got the chance of winning European trophy for the first time ever. And also, don't forget, it's £2.5–3 million per place. We just saw last night how vulnerable they could be. So for that amount of games, I think keeping him puts you up another 4 or 5 places and maybe even qualifying for Europe again next season. They've got 8 games in December. 8 games. And I'm with you. I think Arsenal will... they've got a lot of games themselves. I think they'll make a lot of changes.
That's why the changes were made last night. It's the same with Unai Emery. The reason he made 7 changes, they've got 6 games in 17 days. This is a very, very period. I mean, Crook hasn't stopped telling us how many games he's got in December. So imagine what it's like for an actual...
And I've got my sleep in. But it's interesting. He named the same team that he did against Larnaca. So he made the exact same 3 changes. He brought in JD Convo. Richards dropped out of the team. He changed both central midfielders. But that tells you he doesn't have a particular amount of faith in the fringe players. Eddie Nketiah, for example, I think he's only started 1 game all season.
I don't think, Sam, there'll be an issue for Palace getting in and getting through in the Europa Conference League. Shelburne and Coops, I think they'll win those. But I do think there could be a bit of collateral damage, not just in terms of Arsenal, who we know are a very good side, but I was at the Brighton game where Brighton, for the first half, were superb. And it could affect their Premier League form as well.
We will talk about Nottingham Forest a little bit later on because they eased the victory over Malmo by some margin. Congratulations to Sean Dyche and his team. And we will talk about Liverpool next. Scott mentioned them. They've got a huge game this weekend against West Ham. And Jamie Carragher has put Arsenal under a little bit of pressure. We'll do that next.
A shower of plastic cups, a cut to the head of a goal scorer, police officers punched and seats torn out. It was an awful night of behaviour from Young Boys fans at Villa Park.
I felt for the police because they're probably held back of what they can actually do, but it was so frustrating to watch fans throwing punches to the face of the police
In the
officers.
late 80s, I played a year in Switzerland. And I've never seen any trouble at all.
Well, on the field, Villa and Donyell Malen stood tall. He scored a brave brace as they won comfortably, But Unai wasn't quite satisfied.
Sometimes the last pass when we could shoot, we could score, we were doing the last pass and not really clear.
Meanwhile, all the 1979 Forest legends were in the house at the City Ground to watch skipper Ryan Yates score his first European goal. Sean Dyche's men breezed past Malmo 3-0.
We've laid down some really good markers, I think. For us, not against what people think from the outside. Our internal markers for what the group should expect from themselves. And I'm really pleased for everyone who's worked so hard, my staff and the players, because it's important that you do get a reward, and the reward is winning games.
Down under in cricket, there's no Cummins or Hazelwood. The Aussies have named an unchanged squad for the second Ashes test. And Wales captain Jack Morgan has been ruled out of the start of the Six Nations. The flankers just had shoulder surgery.
Yes, good morning to you. It is Friday. It's FA Sam, the Crookmeister, and $1 Million Minto. We're here through till 1 o'clock. I'm just embracing it now. 9 defeats in 12. How long can it allow to be continued? We're talking about Liverpool. Jamie Carragher, writing in the Telegraph today, says Arne Slot has a week to save his job. It's hard to believe that sentence is being written, but Liverpool's next 3 games are against West Ham, Sunderland and Leeds. Anything fewer than 7 points will make an already unacceptable situation untenable. Hyperbole, or has he got a point? I mean, look, again, there is the obvious caveat here. The grief that has engulfed the squad because of the death of Diogo Jota is quite simply unquantifiable. But Carragher's piece, actually, and I've read the whole thing all the way through, it's not an overreaction. Jamie's very close to the situation, obviously, and he's right. 9 defeats in 12. That can't go on, Scott.
No, it can't. I could sort of say for City for last season, there was 9 defeats in 11 from end of October to Boxing Day, and under Klopp after winning...
But it stopped.
But it stopped. We're here where we are now. Yeah, and obviously, you're right. I mean, it can't continue. And I just mentioned Klopp after winning the Premier League title as well, lost 8 in 12 and, was never really in the title race following that. Clearly, it's very, very difficult to go back-to-back victories. But no, there's no doubt about it. It shouldn't happen. I mean, we were saying on the podcast that on paper they've improved. So therefore, you expect an improvement. But
in terms of personnel. But I don't think you can quite understand. And again, I listened to Gabby earlier. I thought he put it really well in that we actually just don't know how much has affected the players, because this was not just a really good player, but it was a really good teammate, a really good lad who got on well with everybody. Because I don't think they really played well at all season. Even in the games they were winning, they weren't playing well. You could argue the game at Stamford Bridge where they ended up losing at the last minute was probably their best performance. But it's clearly from the start of the season, it's not been happening. You talk about injuries. I actually think it's down to the players. And again, we touched on it yesterday where I said managers have become more important than ever before, tactically. And the way that they almost chess-like, almost PlayStation-like, they want their players to be in a certain position wherever the ball is. But it always has been and always will be about the players and the quality of the players. And not just new players coming in are struggling to adapt, not just the injuries they've got, not just the loss of Diogo Jota, but actually the key players, the leaders that were there last season are nowhere near the form
of this season. And they need to look at themselves in the mirror and turn around and say, well, I need to stand up and be a lot better. They're not leading. They're not playing well. And they're not helping the ones who have just come in as well.
Well, even the manager yesterday admitted that his standards had dropped on and off the field. You saw that on Wednesday night, and this is what he said in his press conference.
Yeah, we've had the same conversations as we've had since I'm here. And as I'm not sure if I said it last night, but we fight on and we try to improve. That's what we all try. But the conversations have been the same as they've been for the past 1.5 years.
Liverpool don't sack managers who have won the title. Bill Shankly, Bob Paisley, Joe Fagan, Sir Kenny Dalglish, Jurgen Klopp all left of their own volition after winning the title. But if he doesn't win all three of the upcoming fixtures that are on the agenda, or at least take 7 points from that, Crook, could we be in a unique position?
The impression I get is that there isn't a huge appetite to sack the manager. From what I'm told, the feeling from the powers that be at Anfield is that Arne Slot isn't doing anything different this season to what he did last year, and obviously the results were very different. And to say they have to take 7 points out of 3 games, I think that's a little bit disrespectful to Sunderland, which is the toughest of those 3 games. When you look at the start of the season they've had, West Ham have improved, but I think if Liverpool are anywhere near what they can be, it's a big opportunity to get back to winning ways, and then obviously you would fancy them to beat Leeds. So I don't think it's quite the full-blown crisis that some people are suggesting, but clearly...
They've lost 6 in the last 7. Clearly the worst run since 1953-54.
The drop-off is alarming, but I agree with Scott, actually. There's always a lot of focus on the managers, and even the sporting directors are getting a bit of stick on social media for signing too many players. No Liverpool fan was saying that in the summer when they paid big money for Florian Wirtz, who obviously hasn't quite worked out so far and is injured. When they broke the British record fee for a second time to sign Alexander Isak, no one was complaining about Ekitike coming in. No one was complaining about Milos Kerkez after the season he had last year. But the fact of the matter is, at the moment, none of those new signings have pulled up any trees. I think the goalkeeper, Mamardashvili, has been quite poor as well in Alisson's absence. But you look at the players who performed so well from last season, I would argue that Van Dijk has not been the same player. Konate certainly hasn't. Obviously, nor has Mo Salah. Alexis McAllister looks like he's struggling all of a sudden, had a really good year last year. Gravenberg, who we all wax lyrical about, has not been the same player. The one player from the title-winning team I think you can actually hold his head high is Dominic Szoboszlai. I think that's pretty much it.
He's been terrific, but I mean, you tried to sort of take the pressure off Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards there, but they aren't beyond question. Look, we know them well. We're friends of them. We like them. We've got a huge amount of respect for them because of what they've achieved in the game over 20 years, and we've known them for a very, very long time. However, I went back and had a look in detail at the 2022 squad, and this one, if you look at it, looks light in comparison. The balance isn't particularly right. There's fewer midfield players to compete in that central area. You look at the fullbacks, you've got 2 brand new fullbacks that both want to bomb on. The balance of the squad doesn't seem to be right. They're lighter in the forward department than they were. They don't look like a team that have spent £450 million. Did they get their selections right when acquiring that talent?
Well, you talk about the fullback areas. How do you replace Trent Alexander-Arnold? And I know it's something they wrestled with. You can't find a like-for-like replacement.
And that wasn't their fault,
Trent,
by the way, because he was determined to leave.
He was never going to sign a new deal, whoever was signing the paychecks. But he's such a unique profile of player that I think that's part of the reason they brought in Florian Wirtz, because they thought Trent's creativity could be replicated in that position. Obviously, they've signed Frimpong to come in at right back. He's been injured more often than not. Kerkez has been underwhelming, no question about that. He looks like a player, and you've mentioned this a few times, there's a big difference between being a star at Bournemouth and pulling on that Liverpool shirt, and it looks like the shirt is weighing heavily. They couldn't have legislated for losing Diogo Jota in the circumstances they did, and obviously he's been a massive loss to the squad. So listen, they're not beyond reproach, clearly, and something has gone very wrong very quickly. But I come back to it. Senior players have got to stand up and be counted.
Well, it's interesting, actually, how long this has been going on for, Scott. And actually, I'd be interested to hear what the Liverpool supporters think about this. 03717223344. What do you make of Jamie Carragher's comments in the paper today that Arne Slot has a week to save his job? You can text us as well. It's 81089. You can WhatsApp message us 03717223344. You can also call us 03717223344. We want to hear from you, Liverpool fans. What do you make of Jamie Carragher's comments? But it is interesting to know, isn't it, how long this has been going on for?
Yes, The other point I wanted to make about the signings, by the way, is that obviously they're all on long-term contracts. They didn't sign Alexander Isak for the short term. They think these players over a period of seasons will justify their price tags.
We'll come back to that in just a second. But if you look back at the players, and you mentioned about the senior players not standing up and doing what they did last season, Mo Salah, I think, probably is in your firing line there, and Virgil van Dijk, who had a really poor game actually on Wednesday night. It started with the handball and it didn't get much better. Liverpool have actually only won 21 games and lost 17 of the last 42 in all competitions since they lost to PSV the first time back in January of last year. Now, they went on to win the title last year, but such was their healthy lead that they could afford to lose a lot of games towards the end of the season once they'd put the silverware in the cabinet. Now, sometimes I think there is a little bit of a hangover from the end of a season. If you end the season badly, sometimes you can start the season badly as well. You've taken your foot off the gas.
You can, Sam. But again, I think that's why the hierarchy have gone in the way that they have. You know, on the one hand, we're saying, well, they've bought too many players and there's too much change. On the other hand, you're absolutely spot on. They didn't finish the season well. So what they don't want is those same group of players where they hardly bought anyway at the start of that season to then go on and do the same again. So we saw what happened with Pep Guardiola for that fifth season last season where they just couldn't go again. So, and I kind of disagree with you, really, in terms of the balance of the squad. You've got two right backs, but both of them are injured. You've got one left back who looked like a great signing, but, is struggling for whatever reason. Centre-half's the only thing I think, and I said this again.
But they did sign Leone, the youngster from...
And he's been injured as well.
Got a really nasty
but it's still a youngster. It's still a youngster, so,
he'd have played more, though. Canate would have been taken out the firing line.
Diaz wanted to go. Diogo Jota, tragically, is not around anymore. Darwin Núñez, everyone was saying, well, he should go anyway. And I kind of semi-backed him, saying, look, I'm telling you, he can cause a lot of problems, whether he scores goals or misses a lot of chances. So there is a big change. And actually, you've just given the reason why there's a big change. I'm sorry, it's Harry hindsight for anyone who says they bought too many players. Because at the start of the season, where we're going
too many players, I just wonder whether or not they spent money in the right areas, or did they even buy enough players? That might be a question.
No, I think to get someone like Isak who looked really good. I mean, ironically enough, the moment that Ekitike came in, it's almost like, damn, we don't really need Isak here. But they'd already
come back in just a second and discuss it further, so you can keep your powder dry. Don't worry, we've got a full 15 minutes to get into. We've got loads of people calling up, loads of Liverpool callers and texters. Isak, Ekitike and Wirtz do not work as hard as Jota, Núñez and Diaz. It's a downgrade as they don't track back. Martin Wells says, I've been called deluded for saying that Slot shouldn't be sacked, but if you look at one of the bigger picture, if you look at the new signings, only Ekitike and Kirkes have played a lot. The others have been injured, so in and out of the team. So where can they form connections with each other? Plus, Bradley and Alisson have been injured along with Joe Gomez, who's been having injections in his knee. I think he would have played a few more games if he hadn't have been. No wonder the team can't gel. What do you guys think? Please read this out. Martin and Wigan. Yep, we'll definitely get to it. Liverpool and Jota, says one texter. Every single day throughout the country, people are going to work having lost friends, family and colleagues in recent history and still put a shift in. As sympathetic as we are, can this still be affecting performances? Look, grief works in unusual ways. No one can understand what it must be like to be in that dressing room. I'm a bit more sympathetic than whoever it was who sent that text message in. And in fact, every time I go to Anfield, and anybody who's been there this season will tell you the same thing, every time you get to the 20th minute, you can't help but get a lump in your throat. So I don't know what that must be like when you're playing to have that sound engulf you, because the Liverpool fans always remember Diogo Jota, and quite rightly as well, but you can't escape it if you're one of those players in the dressing room. So much to talk about, so many calls, so many text messages. You on next? 03717 2233 44.
Las Vegas, baby, on talkSPORT.
Yes, the countdown is on. You've only got until 4 p.m. today. Don't miss your last chance to kick off 2026 by winning an epic trip to Vegas, thanks to our friends at Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. Not long now until you and your best mate could be flying upper class from London to Vegas, checking into a luxury spa villa for 4 incredible nights. Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. Cheering from the stands as the Las Vegas Raiders take on the Kansas City Chiefs. You'll get $5,000 in cash to spend on whatever you like as well. So clear your calendar. January the 2nd to January the 7th to 2026, because nothing starts a new year like Vegas. Good luck.
21 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text at £2 plus standard network rate. Bill payer's permission required. Or call 03434239761. Calls are charged at standard rate. All entries must be received by the 28th of November at 4 p.m. This is a network promotion. Run across talkSPORT, Virgin Radio UK and Talk. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
Loads of text messages and calls coming in on Liverpool. Gravenberch is playing to advance and leaving the defence exposed. Too much emphasis on attack. They've got to get harder to beat. Do you know what? That's really interesting, because I wrote in my notes, why has he abandoned the control and composure that they employed last year to win the title in order to go all-out gung-ho attack? Because I just couldn't understand it. And then I read a statistic this morning, and I'm going to try and find it now because it was absolutely stark to me, that last year I think they only won 10 games by more than 2 goals, and he didn't think they created enough chances and there was too much jeopardy, so he wanted more attack in order to make it more comfortable. But actually, it's had the adverse effect by going for more chances. They've given away more chances at the other end. As an Evertonian, Catherine says, I was at Anfield with a friend who supports the Reds for the United game, and it was clear how much Jota's death has affected the players, supporters and the whole club. It's going to affect them for a long time, and it should not be underestimated. Up the toffee, says Catherine. 03717223344. Let's get some callers on. Sam, Liverpool haven't been right since they won the league. It was disgusting the way they went on yachts celebrating the title while the season was going on. Our players need to come out and be leaders in interviews, but they also need to do it on the pitch. Serves him right, maybe. This will show the players you can't just down tools like TAA did. We should pull Konate's offer ASAP, sell him to PSG, I'll swap him for Gay. The way he's down tools is rubbish, says Pete, the Liverpool fan. Gareth is a Liverpool fan. Hi, Gareth.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. You're through to Scott Minto, Alex Crook and me, Sam Matterface. What do you want to say?
Look, a couple of things, really. Everyone seems to be searching for this one definitive answer of what is wrong, and that's not the case. It's a culmination of a lot of things, but in particular, I'm somebody who lost a best friend and work colleague many, many years ago. Now, what cannot be understated is the impact that has. It took a full 12 months for that to sort itself out. During those 12 months, you have good days, you think you're over it, you're fine for a couple of weeks, then something reminds you, and then you're absolutely finished. You can't do a thing, you can't perform. Sometimes you just can't get out of bed. Everything is hassle. You can hardly, in their case, they probably can't put in the running, they can't put in a shift. In addition to that, so everyone's slightly different. Some people get over it in 10 months. Some people won't get over it for 12 months. Someone might be all right in 6 months. We just don't know. But you're reminded of every single time you go into Anfield. His shirt is still hanging up. Jota's shirt is still hanging up in the changing rooms. In addition to that, people keep talking about this scattergun approach and this big spend we've had. We've spent close to £500 million, of which 280 million of that was generated by selling 8 players. We've sold 8, we've bought 4. Quick maths will tell you we're down on numbers by 4. We've also, you look at Arsenal, this is a 5-year project. Each year they've added. We've ended up winning a title with what is essentially an ageing spine. We've lost 4 attackers and brought in 2. So we're down on numbers from the front.
Yeah.
Anytime any other team is short of form, they can replace people. At centre-back, we've got no one to replace.
Yeah, that is a big issue at the moment, Gareth. That is for sure.
I think Gareth made a lot of brilliant points. I said yesterday when I was on with Jim and Simon, I don't think you can overstate the impact that Jota's passing has had, A, on those players in the dressing room that he was close to, and B, actually on the new players coming in, because they've walked in to a dressing room that is in mourning. So it's a very awkward and difficult situation to deal with. And actually, if you flip Liverpool's seasons around under Arne Slot, I think a lot of us expected them to have this kind of drop-off post-Jurgen Klopp last season. They overachieved, and I said this back in March at Cheltenham, and Liverpool fans hammered me for it. I said they weren't a great title-winning side. They benefited from circumstances. If they dropped off last season in this manner, I don't think people would have been calling for the manager to be sacked, but it's because it's happened almost in reverse.
Ella is a Liverpool fan. She joins us from the United Arab Emirates. Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. What do you want to say?
I want to say that Slot definitely needs to go. The players need to take responsibility, obviously, but the manager picks the players and the system. Konate, Salah, Kirkers, they've been putting stinkers in, week out, and then you've got Robertson, Gomez, Chiesa on the bench, and they're never used. Slot doesn't trust his squad, and he has brought in the players that have ruined any balance in the team, and he can't get the best out of all of his players, so obviously he needs to go.
Who would you replace him with, Ella, if that was the case?
I'd want Klopp back for sure, if that could happen. But that's a sticky situation, isn't it, really? There's not really much out there.
Bearing in mind he gave up on that group of players, Jurgen Klopp, because he didn't think he could take them any further.
True, but he has done a recent interview. He's had a break, and he seems like he's got his loyalties towards Liverpool, and the passion. And I think that's what our players need, that style to come back in.
We appreciate you calling us. Thanks, Ella. Cheers for that. It'd be interesting to see how the dressing room reacts if
Mo Salah will be delighted, I'm sure.
Walk back in. Let's wonder what would happen there. Daniel is on the line. Hi, Daniel.
Hello, how are we all?
What do you want to say, pal?
The first call he said about losing his friend and that, I lost my friend nearly 30 years ago, and I stopped playing football where me and him used to play because it hurt me every time, seeing where he passed away. It was horrible. So I don't know if we're fully appreciating what they're going through. But besides that, all right, we're all professional. We're in the field. Mo Salah at the moment is miles off the pace. You see him when he gets turned, he puts his arms up in the air and he gets a bit frustrated as if someone's trying to gasp for air to get that extra boost that he did have last year. So maybe playing football with these 18, 20-year-olds is getting to him a little bit. But the passion, the minute you wear that shirt is your passion. If you don't fight for that shirt, this is what happens. And everyone's just staring at each other, blaming one another instead of just fucking their ideas up. And
there's a lot of that going on, isn't there? And that's a little bit of a concern, I think.
Massively. And Slot at the moment is not helping himself by not changing the system. He's come out the other day and said, we struggle against a low block. Well, everyone now applies the low block and the counter-attack when we overload the wings and we leave Van Dijk and Konate on their own against 3. It's just stupid and it's juvenile, if I'm honest with you. And if he doesn't change it, it's going to go wrong for him very soon. With AFCON coming and Salah leaving, it might be a saving grace in him having to change something.
Okay.
And then we'll see what happens.
Cheers, Daniel. Thank you very much. So many calls. Scott Minto's got a take on Liverpool as well that he wants to talk about their balance. We'll get into that after 11 o'clock this morning. Raj here, loves listening to talkSPORT. Lost both my parents in the space of 5 years to cancer. It never goes away, but you have to change your mindset daily to survive and live your life and love the ones that are around you. I'm a United fan, by the way, but I think it's such a sad loss what happened to Liverpool in the summer. 03717 2233 44. Keep them coming. Keep the text coming. There's loads to get through. We'll do that next.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good morning. So what next after a week where Newcastle fans say they were met with batons, pepper spray and sewage waste in Marseille before young boys brought missiles, punches and violent vandalism to Villa Park? Here's Alex Crook.
Well, certainly there's a case for young boys being made to play games behind closed doors because obviously that would hit the club in the pocket. It would stop those supporters from watching their team. These UEFA sanctions don't go far enough. So, yeah, I think there is a case for much harsher punishment when we see scenes like this.
Meanwhile, in Brisbane for the second test, the Australians will once again be without Pat Cummins and Josh Hazlewood. Former bowler Brad Hogg told us England's bowlers need to buck their ideas up, given how they were demolished by Travis Head in the fourth innings.
Khawaja went off for back spasms and they were just down on pace in that second innings, and that was a big concern because they had 200 on the board, still in the game, but they had no fight there in the first half hour to an hour.
Some breaking news. A joint UK bid to host the 2035 Women's World Cup has been officially submitted. The proposal includes hosting matches in England, Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland, with the new Old Trafford said to be on the stadium list. Serena Wiegman is excited.
It's really exciting because if you see what it's going to look like, it's going to be the biggest event worldwide ever, which is really exciting. And of course, what we also all experience that the women's game is growing, and we want to keep pushing, keep going.
And Eddie Howe says Johan Wissa is back in training but won't give a return date for fear of disappointing the fans. And Mike Tyndall's Rebel League R360 is postponing launch by 2 years to 2028. Reports are there are fears it doesn't have the players or finances to launch.
talkSPORT News.
The government's going back on a manifesto promise again, and a huge search operation's underway to find a 76-year-old British national who fell from a cruise ship near Tenerife. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Visit quickfit.com for huge savings on tyres, servicing, batteries, wipers and more in our Black Friday event. And drive away happy every time. Conditions apply.
Showers moving southeastwards throughout the day, some heavy with a risk of thunder. Southeast England generally staying dry, feeling fresher than yesterday and staying windy.
Hello everyone, good morning. It is Fun Boy Friday with me, Sam Matterface. The Sortmeister is here, and so is $1 Million Minto, dressed as the milk tray man, because actually we've got our Christmas day out today, haven't we?
If you ever get there.
And Crook is so worried that I'm going to be late because I have to record 4 lines of speech for a podcast later on.
That's a pint and a half.
That he's threatening to leave before I finish.
Me and Minto are off. We're down.
He can't wait. He just wants to get into the pub. Why are you so excited? It's not like you never go out.
I don't get out a lot, do I?
You sent me a picture at 11 o'clock last night of you in a pub.
I was looking after my brother-in-law who missed his flight home to Portugal. Overslept. He runs in the family yesterday.
Let's talk Liverpool and talk about the football and how they're going to solve the problems. Jamie Carragher, writing in the Telegraph today, says Arne Slot has a week to save his job. It's hard to believe that sentence is being written, but Liverpool's next 3 games are against West Ham, Sunderland and Leeds, and anything fewer than 7 points will make an already unacceptable situation untenable. Liverpool fans, what is your reaction to that? Other football fans, how are you reacting to that? Because there are other clubs that have gone through periods like this. 03717 22 33 44. Scott is on the line. Hi, Scott.
Hey, Sam. Hey, Crookie. All right, Scott.
Great name, Scott.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on the programme. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, 2 Scots don't make a right, though. But,
I like it.
But yeah, just ringing up about the Liverpool situation, I think I don't agree with Carra in terms of sacking Slot, but I'm also starting to lose a little bit of confidence in him. But there's a lot of things that have gone kind of against him where obviously in the summer everyone makes out about all of our signings, but effectively we just replaced rather than added. Whereas you look at your rivals like your City, your Arsenal, and that most transfer windows over the last 18 to 24 months, they've added and improved their squad, whereas we've just kind of almost gone like for like and effectively got weaker. And then obviously, like you said, the whole Jota, as tragic as it is, I do feel for the players, but at the same time, the drop-off started as soon as you won the league. And the senior players...
We actually didn't start before that, Scott. If you look at the Carabao Cup final and the way that they performed in that game, there are hallmarks of how they are playing now, where they are off the pace and not as aggressive or as assertive in their duels, as similar to that we saw on that day at Wembley.
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean. I think as soon as you won the league and they upped and went off to Ibiza and things like that, the drop-off's been since then. So it's not just a case of this season. It's an ongoing issue, I find.
Okay, and, Scott, we're going to have to leave you there because we've got so many other people that we're going to try and cram in between now and 15:15. But thank you very much for calling us. We appreciate it. Lewis is a Liverpool fan. Hello, Lewis.
Oh, hello there. You all right?
Yeah, good. Go for it.
First of all, I'd like to say no one said anything about Diaz. Luis Diaz is probably one of our best players last season. We had never replaced Diaz. Ekatike came in. I thought we didn't even need Isaac, and them two haven't even played together. I thought the formation we've kept, where we could have gone for 3 at the back with 2 wing backs, because the Kirkhead situation was a weird signing because Robertson had a good season. We didn't really. He's been liable. We didn't even need to get Kirkhead. I thought it was a weird signing anyway. Frimpong is more of a wing back. So I don't think he plays in the back 4. I don't think he's a right back himself. I thought he's more of attacking right wing back. So then that situation was a bit weird. I think Wirtz was a weird one because I don't see him as a winger. I see him as another midfielder. We didn't really get rid of midfielders. We got get rid of more attackers.
But were you saying any of this during the summer transfer window, Lewis? Because hindsight is a wonderful thing. I don't remember any dissenting voices from Liverpool fans about your transfer policy at the time.
No, I get that. I just feel when you look at it now, going back on it, no one really thought, oh yeah, Diaz. I really underestimated. I think Diaz. Now you look at it, Diaz and Gakpo. They're all swapping each other. I thought Diaz was our better player, and he worked so hard for that team. He was tracking back, working hard. He was a lot of energy in that team. Ekatike has probably been one of our better signings we've had, but did we need Isaac?
It was interesting, isn't it? And that will be a debate I'm sure that everybody sort of tries to sort of wrestle with. Thank you very much, Lewis, and cheers for everyone who's got involved. I want to pick you up on the argument that you've come up with. If your response to supporters who are sort of questioning the recruitment now is you weren't saying this at the time. Well, it isn't supporters' job to question it at the time.
Yeah, but I don't think...
But it is the job... Hold on. It is the job of the people in charge to get it right and to have foresight and to think about what might happen next. And supporters don't act like that. Obviously, we're a lot more sort of superficial in terms of we see the names coming in, we see the money being spent, we've seen the pedigree of the players coming through the door, and we get excited about it. But that's not the role of the people that are in charge of recruitment.
But they were sort of forced into an overhaul, weren't they? Because you've spoken about Trent Alexander-Arnold already. He was never going to sign a new contract, so that was always going to be a massive void. I think his partnership with Mo Salah last season was the single biggest factor behind them winning the title. Luis Diaz gets a mention there, and I agree. He's obviously a top player. He's gone on and proved that at Bayern Munich. But my understanding is the owners didn't want to give him the type of contract that he wanted, so they sort of almost had to do that deal as well. Harvey Elliott wanted to go out and play, so they couldn't keep him against his will. That's not a move that's worked out particularly well for either Liverpool or for Harvey Elliott himself, bearing in mind he's not playing at Aston Villa. But for me, the single biggest factor in Liverpool's drop-off is Mo Salah. Mo Salah was the reason they won the title last season. He hit phenomenal heights, even by previous standards. And I'm surprised we've not had a single caller question his motivation. Where is the Mo Salah from last season?
At what Mo Salah
was he just playing for a new
over the course
contract?
of his Liverpool career? You cannot pin everything on Mo Salah.
I think you can question his motivation when there's been such a dramatic
You can't
decline.
say he's the only single reason that they've
I've
had
said
a
it's the
massive drop.
biggest single factor in their decline. If he was still hitting the heights he was last season, they would have picked up many more points.
I would argue that, I mean, with the hindsight thing, I don't remember hearing anybody, let alone Liverpool supporters, questioning the hierarchy, saying...
They'd have been hammered if they did nothing. If they lost those players and didn't replace them, they'd have been hammered for that.
You mentioned, Sam, about the drop-off towards the end of last season, so they're forcing... And obviously what Pep Guardiola and Manchester City, and you know what I think about Pep, didn't do, obviously Liverpool are trying to change it and go down a different route. I'm sorry, I didn't hear anyone complain about that at all. Now, in my point of view, I mean, I do agree with you about the drop-off of Salah, but he's never really been sort of bang on it from a defensive point of view. But he needs to try and start to at least show a little bit of effort. One thing I would say is, and I remember Alan Kirbishley saying to me that Sir Bobby Robson told him when a manager in the Premier League was going under... I mean, something like 6 defeats on the spin. He said, what would you do? And before he gave Curbs the chance to answer, he said, play 11 defenders. Now, obviously, his point is you make yourself difficult to beat. You make yourself well-organised. You pick character, not talent. And what I would say is about people who are saying Slot should go. One, who is there to bring in? Klopp is a brilliant, in theory and the dream. It's not going to happen. Steven Gerrard has been mentioned. I know you mentioned him, and he's a very impressive guy. You said from him the other day. Liverpool legend, I would argue the Premier League's greatest ever midfielder.
He's definitely not the Premier League's greatest ever manager, though.
He's not justified the job at the moment. And what Liverpool Football Club should be looking for is not...
Don't be disrespectful. He's obviously had troubles, but he did very good job at Rangers, for example.
He was terrible at Aston Villa. What credentials apart from being a Liverpool legend has he got to get the job?
We're getting away from the point.
You're just having a go at him for no reason.
Well, not for no reason. I'm saying he's not up to the job of being Liverpool manager.
At this moment in time. At this moment in time, I would agree. He could be in the future, but at this moment in time, I would agree. So, what can Slot do? Control the controllables. I go through the goals the other day, and it's just an example. Virgil van Dijk, handball. What are you doing after 5 minutes when you know you're under pressure and you don't want to concede that first goal? 2-1, player went past Salah as if Salah wasn't there. Kirke's wrong side. 3-1, Konate misses the ball completely. 4-1, you're chasing the game, you're lacking in energy, but the guy runs in behind Virgil van Dijk again. These are things that a manager cannot do. There's only it's not PlayStation. That's my point. The players is always about the players. And they have to step up here, and they've not been doing that. And he has to make sure, I'll go back to, pick character, not talent. Don't be afraid to be well organised and kick the ball into Rosehead if you have to. Eliminate the mistakes.
I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if they'd benefit from a couple of the youngsters coming in. They've got a very good academy at Liverpool. And like you say, make yourselves just hard to beat. Win the duels. Be aggressive in the tackle. That fight that hasn't been there, that has been a problem. 03717 2233 44. Do you want to just do 30 seconds with Andy? Are we allowed to do that, ref? Go on, let us do it. Andy is a Liverpool fan. Go on, you got 30 seconds before the ref pulls out the red card. The ref is the producer of the programme, by the way. He's in charge, and he's constantly telling me, move on. Go for it, Andy.
Yeah, just want to quickly say, stick with Slot. I don't want to go back to Klopp. I don't want to, because at some point he's going to have to leave again, and we're going to go through the same thing. Also, just going back to United as well, I bet they wish at some point they had stuck with Moyes and they got stuck in that doom loop of manager after manager after manager. I bet they do. I bet at some point United thought, do you know what, we should have just stuck with Moyes.
Yeah. Should have stuck with Moyes and Marouane Fellaini.
Andy, thank you very much.
Arteta's a great example.
Arteta is a great example, and I'm a big sort of supporter of the fact they gave him the keys to the castle, and he could end up winning the title this year. It shows what happens if you invest in a manager over the long term. And Liverpool are planning to do that, right? So Liverpool have brought these players in not for the first 5 weeks or 5 months of the season, but for the next 5 years. So the idea is to build a squad going forward that's going to challenge not only for the Premier League but for the Champions League. And it is a very difficult time at the moment. But you can't keep losing games. You certainly can't go on the worst run for 72 years and not expect scrutiny. Keep your text messages coming in 03717 2233 44. We've got Controversial Crook in the studio, kicking off. Everybody can lay a glove on. I can't believe it just went for Steven Gerrard for absolutely no reason.
It's not absolutely no reason. Steven Gerrard is one of the best players the Premier League's ever seen. His managerial CV is not becoming of someone to be the Liverpool manager. Am I wrong?
Okay, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer didn't have a CV, but he came in and did a job for Manchester United at a time that they needed him the most. Scott Minto is here as well, and we're here right the way through until 1 o'clock. This is talkSPORT. Yes, this Saturday, Ben Whittaker makes his Matchroom debut versus Gavazzi in the WBC title eliminator, live and only on DAZN. And to celebrate Black Friday, sign up at DAZN.com before midday today to get the best deal and up to 40% off DAZN's monthly subscription. Black Friday offers end at midnight tonight.
Boxing update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at DAZN.com/boxing.
This is talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface with $1 Million Minto and the Crookmeister. Tottenham looking to improve on their woeful home record across the last year. Spurs have won just 3 of their last 20 Premier League home games since November 2024. Their game against Fulham is live tomorrow night on talkSPORT at 8 o'clock. It's live and exclusive to national radio. And they are shipping goal after goal since the international break. Where has the pragmatism gone of Thomas Frank, Scott Minto?
Look, what I would say is that Arsenal performance, and I'd probably chuck in the Chelsea performance as well, was probably wasn't even short of disgraceful. It was disgraceful. It was really, really poor. But I thought it was chalk and cheese, the performance against PSG. Yes, they conceded 5 goals, but you're up against what was the best team in Europe by far. Not world, of course. That's Chelsea. But in Europe. And they've gone there and they've given it a really good fist of it as well. I mean, I look at it and I think if it wasn't for just wonder strikes from Vitinha, there's every chance they really could have got something out of that. And I think that would have been a massive boost. But yeah, look, they've conceded 5 against PSG. They've conceded 4 against Arsenal. For me, the performance is more important and what I'm watching. And I think there's a lot of positives, despite conceding the 5, to take out of it. But this is a Spurs side that finished 17th in the Premier League last season. I mean, they were the worst of the rest.
Crookmeister is obviously famous for being very generous to Tottenham Hotspur.
This is something you've built up.
It's not. It was,
that one caller.
It was Kate.
Yeah.
It was Kate. It wasn't me. She called you salty. That was it. And that's how it all started.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with me. They've won just 2 of their last 9 games in all competitions. But I think that even if the performance is better on Tuesday night, okay, they're playing in the Champions League, they've raised themselves on Wednesday night, that's great. But actually they need to start delivering at home, don't they?
Yeah, they do, but that's a problem that's been going on for a long time, not just under Thomas Frank. I thought it was bizarre when a journalist asked Thomas Frank before this PSG game, is it starting to unravel? What was there to unravel in the first place? Scott's already alluded to it. They finished 17th last season. They beat the Dog and Duck in the Europa League final to obviously end their trophy drought, but nobody watched that performance and thought, well, this is going to be a great Tottenham team. They're going to kick on next season and challenge for the Champions League. And then you look at their summer recruitment. They signed Matthias Tell permanently, even though he didn't particularly pull up any trees last season. Rando Kolomuani, who was brilliant, actually, against his parent club in midweek, as flattered to deceive. Kevin Danso was signed on a permanent basis. This is someone I saw play very poorly at Southampton. I don't think he's a great addition either. João Paulinho, who couldn't get in the Bayern Munich team, has come in, probably been the pick of the signings. That brings me on to Xavi Simons, who we yet to really see make an impact in the Premier League.
He hasn't been the pick of the Simons.
No, but how many of these players would be on Chelsea's radar, would be on Liverpool's radar, would be on Arsenal's radar, would be on Manchester City's radar? The answer is none. Actually, the one player who was on Arsenal's radar was Eberechi Eze, and they took him from under Tottenham's noses. I forgot about Mohamed Kudus. He's easily forgettable because sometimes he looks brilliant, but more often than not, he's inconsistent. So what do Tottenham fans expect? What's a good season for Tottenham? I suggest if they finish in the top half of the table, that's progress.
Obviously, Fulham themselves have been under a little bit of scrutiny, and they go into this game on the back of a victory over Sunderland, which was actually quite impressive. They probably should have won by more than they did. Marco Silva's future at the club has sort of settled down now. All the rumours that were flying around during the international break have sort of gone a little bit quiet. It's his 200th game in charge of Fulham in all competitions. Do you think that he can go there and construct a game plan to outwit Tottenham?
I think this is a horrible game for Spurs. I mean, both of us have said what we've said, but to be fair, Spurs fans deserve better than 1 win at home. I mean, that's not good enough. 3 defeats.
Against Burnley.
And also some of those performances as well. Talk about, Arsenal was at the Emirates, but you talk about
the Chelsea one was
the Chelsea game. Bournemouth, they were really poor as well. But
terrible against United, really. They were let off the hook by
back to being United, are they?
So what?
Anymore.
So I think Marco Silva's a really good manager, and it's going to be fascinating to see where he's going to be next season. But Fulham have underachieved big time. I thought this was perhaps an opportunity with Brentford changing managers. West Ham struggling. Bournemouth have been sensational, but I just thought that maybe they could be the Bournemouth this season and
He's not really got the resources, though, has he? I mean,
no, he hasn't, and he
hasn't been given the resources.
You look at the top end of the pitch; they're very light.
But he must have known, what he's got, and maybe he's a little bit, I don't know, maybe like an Emery was at the start of the season, not happy and with the window, and it takes a little bit of time to do it. But my point is that Spurs fans are going to be going to the stadium thinking this is a game that we have to win, and we win well, because you look at where Fulham are. And because Silva is such a good manager and can make things well organised and can make things really tight, we know what the Spurs fans can be like. And if you go 1-0 down early on, or even if it's just not a good performance in that first half, they will start to turn, because they haven't been happy. And I do understand why they haven't been happy. But my point is, this is a process that Thomas Frank needs a lot of time to turn around, because Spurs were in a really... Yes, they won the Europa League, but they were in a really bad place.
That game is live tomorrow night, 8 o'clock start, live on talkSPORT. It's a little bit later than our usual slot. We usually do 12:30 on a Saturday, but it's 8 o'clock tomorrow. Tottenham against Fulham. Remember, Sunday we've got an extra bonus episode of Game Day exclusive, because from 11 o'clock, Adrian Durham will bring you live commentary of Crystal Palace against Manchester United. Those two live Premier League games only on talkSPORT. Who's he going to go for next? Gerrard, he's had a go at this morning. Manchester United, the dog and duck. Spurs fans should be happy with a top half finish. The Fulham recruitment department have got it as well. I tell you what, football clubs up and down the country were a lot happier when he's had a hangover and only 4 hours sleep and turned up in yesterday's clothes. Who's next in the firing line? Well, Dan Towles is coming on next. This is talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
A shower of plastic cups, a cut to the head of a goalscorer, police officers punched and seats torn out. It was an awful night of behaviour from young boys fans at Villa Park.
I felt for the police because they're probably held back of what they can actually do, but it was so frustrating to watch fans throwing punches to the face of the police officers.
In the late 80s, I played a year in Switzerland. And I've never seen any trouble at all.
Well, on the field, Villa and Daniel Mallon stood tall. He scored a brave brace as they won comfortably, but Unai wasn't quite satisfied.
Sometimes the last pass when we could shoot, we could score, we were doing the last pass and not really clear.
Meanwhile, all the 1979 Forest legends were in the house at the City Ground to watch skipper Ryan Yates score his first European goal. Sean Dyche's men breezed past Malmo 3-0.
We've laid down some really good markers, I think. For us, I mean, not against what people think from the outside. I mean, our internal markers for what the group should expect from themselves. And I'm really pleased for everyone who's worked so hard, my staff and the players, because it's important that you do get a reward, and the reward is winning games.
Down under in cricket, there's no Cummins or Hazelwood. The Aussies have named an unchanged squad for the second Ashes test. And Wales captain Jack Morgan has been ruled out of the start of the Six Nations. The flankers just had shoulder surgery.
11:33 on a Friday morning. It's Sam Matterface with Alex Crook and Scott Minto, the former Benfica, Chelsea, Charlton, Rotherham and West Ham United left back. But it's time now to catch up with the latest odds, all thanks to BetMGM.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit BetMGM.co.uk or download the app. 18+GambleAware.org.
Tottenham play tomorrow night, 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. That's got Dan Towers and BetMGM hospitality written all over it. Let's get the latest sporting odds and discuss them with Dan. Hello, Dan, you all right?
Morning, gentlemen. How are we?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Will we see you at Tottenham Hotspur tomorrow?
We won't, but I've got a bit of a conundrum on Tuesday night.
Oh, have you?
I'm at Newcastle versus Spurs on Tuesday, so that should be an interesting one.
Half and half scarf for you, Dan?
It might have to be. I might watch the first half from the Spurs end and then I'll jump over to the Newcastle end.
Okay, well, I know where you sit now, so I'll come and see you at
How many teams
half
does he
time.
support, by the way?
Well, this is the problem here is, for those who don't know, he's a big Brighton fan, sort of. But BetMGM have relationships with certain clubs, and Dan fully buys into the brand association. So I saw him at Newcastle, where BetMGM have a relationship, and he was he wore an Alan Shearer shirt, he had a black and white scarf on, and a Newcastle beanie hat. And I thought that was a little bit excessive.
Is it fair to say he's got more teams than he does days at work? Honestly, he's never at work.
Yeah. I've been listening this morning, Crookie. Someone's very tired, aren't they, this morning? You've been letting everyone have it this morning.
I must turn around and say that I've never seen him at Wolverhampton Wanderers, though. They also have a relationship there. He doesn't tend to go to Molineux very often for some reason. Anyway, Premier League big games tomorrow. Spurs against Fulham and Crystal Palace against Manchester United. What odds you got for us, Dan?
It is indeed. And you've just been talking about Spurs winless in their last three. Fulham have won 2 of their last 3 in the league, albeit maybe they're a little bit closer to the drop zone than they would like. Just 3 points in front of 19th place Leeds. Thomas Frank's side are in 9th. And despite going down in Paris, Scott, you just talked about their performance on the pitch. Whilst they lost 5-3, it was a lot better than last Sunday in the North London derby. So they may take some confidence into that. Spurs are the 11-10 favourites. Fulham are the 5-2 outsiders. And then just looking forward to Sunday, United looking to bounce back from Monday night's defeat at home to Everton. Palace, obviously disappointed with their Europa Conference game last night, but given no European football for Man United this season, it could be advantageous. Nearly 2-1 for Amorim's side to go down to South London and win, which I think could be a bit of a big price. Mr. Crook, at the start of the season, you predicted 5th place for United finish. 12 games in. Are you happy with current form and position?
Happy is an interesting word. I was okay until Monday night, and then I thought it was back to the dark old days of last season. This system that he stands by and won't change even against 10 men is becoming a real annoyance for me. So happy? No.
Fine. Okay. Do you think you'll win Sunday?
No.
No.
Do I think we win a raffle if we're the only team who had tickets? No.
He does have wild swings of emotions. It has to be said. I would love to be able to publish the stream of consciousness that I walked off air to on Monday night. It was alarming from an adult male.
And of course, Sam, let me just say, if they do go and win, because he's such a flip-flop, he'll say they're fifth.
Manager.
Amorim is the man.
Yeah. Arrange a top bus tour, probably knowing Crookie.
Well, if there was free booze, he definitely would. We got golden goals this week. Has anyone come close? And just tell us what it is.
Yeah, so free-to-play game on the app for all BetMGM customers. No deposit required. Correctly predict 6 score lines in the Premier League this weekend, and you could win £250,000. For you guys, we try and raise some money for prostate cancer. Only £500 in the pot so far this season, but we've got 3 games for this weekend where hopefully you can get the correct result. And Sam, we're going to kick off with you with Everton-Newcastle.
I was I did the Newcastle game on Tuesday night. I thought apart from the 5 minutes just after half-time, they played particularly well. It would have been a really good away performance, but away form has really been sticky for them. Look, I thought they were excellent against Manchester City. They are working hard. They are they're a good team, and I know that their position in the table isn't particularly bright, but you've seen enough of them to know that they're pretty handy. Everton don't lose at home. This is not actually going to be the best game of the weekend, I don't think. I'm going to go 0-0.
Yeah, same result as it was last year. If you remember, I think Anthony Gordon missed a penalty against his old club. 0-0 is 8.5 to 1 to 17 to 2. Scott, we're going to jump to you for Chelsea versus Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've said many occasions that I don't see Chelsea being there right at the end of the season because I don't think they've got quite that experience and senior professionals in the dressing room. But I do think at this moment in time, they're the 2 best teams in the country. And, you know, the table kind of reflects that in a way. Chelsea 9 wins in the last 11 in all competitions. Arsenal 12 wins in the last 13 in all competitions. And anything you can do, Chelsea, we can do just as well, if not better. I thought Arsenal was superb midweek, but so too were Chelsea. So, look, I'm not going to back against Chelsea. Maybe if it's at the Emirates, I perhaps would say Arsenal, and that would be my head, not my heart. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I was torn between 1-1 or 2-2, but I'm going to go for 1-1.
1-1, yeah. Arsenal unbeaten their last 6 trips to Stamford Bridge, and as you said, both performed extremely well midweek. 1-1 scoreline there is 5 to 1. And Mr. Happy, we're going to do West Ham Liverpool. Yeah.
This is a tough game to call, I think, because obviously Liverpool in a dreadful run of form, their worst in 70 years, as Sam's been reminding our listeners all morning. West Ham have had a bit of an upturn, haven't they, with 7 points from the last 9 available. They probably should have lost at Bournemouth, even though they went 2-0 up. They had a lot of chances, Bournemouth, and Areola was in brilliant form. I'm going to come down on Liverpool, simply because I don't think they can keep losing games. I expect Arne Slot to make changes. I expect those big players, the Van Dijks and Salahs, to actually turn up to the party. I'm going to go 2-1 Liverpool.
Mm-hmm. Well, Liverpool have actually lost their last 5 league games in London. So, I mean, based on that trend, that's not going to help Arne Slot with any confidence going into this weekend. But a Liverpool win 2-1 is 13 to 2. So those 3 score lines comes in at 425 to 1 if the treble comes in. But more importantly, let's try and add to that £500 we've got in the pot for prostate cancer.
Okay, BetMGM fighting 5th hurdle preview at Newcastle. What are you saying?
Yeah, only 5 horses go to post, but it could be a bit of a cracker. All the talk about Constitution Hill and if he's back to his best. It was going so well last season when he won his first 2 reappearances before he then fell twice and then become a distant 5th even, behind State Man at Punchestown. Dan Skelton has the new Lion. Willie Mullins sends one over in Amsterdam, who both on form, very, very decent horses. If Nicky Henderson's Constitution Hill is to retain his, or not retain, is to get it back because they won it with Sergino last year, then he's going to need to be his very best. He's the 7-4 joint favourite along with the new line. Amsterdam a bit bigger at 2-1, but it will give us some clues leading up to the Champion Hurdle at Cheltenham in March.
Absolutely. Dan, see you Tuesday night, and beware because the camera will be out, especially if you're wearing one of those half and half scarves. That was a look ahead to the latest odds, all thanks to BetMGM. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
And when we go to Newcastle on Tuesday night, they will be playing Tottenham Hotspur live on talkSPORT. In fact, every single game from the midweek round of matches is live and only on talkSPORT. That's 10 games across the whole network. So we've got talkSPORT, talkSPORT 2, Talk Radio, all taking games every single night. And you'll be able to listen to every one if you download the talkSPORT app, your club, whenever you want them. I'm going to be at Newcastle versus Tottenham on Tuesday night, Scott Minto. Nick Pope made a huge error in the game against Marseille, a misjudgment. Is he an elite goalkeeper?
Define elite, as in Premier League winning, or just as a top-class Premier League goalkeeper?
Well, you tell me how good you think he is and how far they can go with him. I think he's a brilliant shot stopper, and I've got a lot of good things to say about Nick Pope. But those misjudgments that he makes occasionally have cost them dear, and it certainly did in the Stade Velodrome. Yeah,
it did. But, you know, a lot of goalkeepers do it. Look at Manuel Neuer, what he did in midweek as well. There's no way he should have come out as high as he did. And Nick Pope did it, if you remember, in the game against Manchester City at the weekend as well, and put Erling Haaland off. So, again, I spoke about this last week about how difficult it is to be a goalkeeper. I mean, it's the hardest position on the pitch because striker, yes, you can miss chances and you can lose a bit of confidence, but within 10, 15 minutes, you'll have one, if not another couple of chances, or at least an ability to get involved in a game and have some touches. Goalkeeper, you don't. What do I think of him? I think he's a very, very good shot stopper. I think he's good on coming out on crosses, which from a defensive point of view are very important. I don't think with his feet he's as good as a lot of the other ones that are around. Decision-making is what can define a goalkeeper as well. And obviously he's made a couple of bad decisions, but I think top goalkeepers do that. I do think he's a top goalkeeper.
He's muscular, he's big, he's strong, he is an imposing presence. Are you a little bit surprised, though, after the recruitment of Aaron Ramsdale, that he's only played a handful of appearances?
Yeah, I would have expected him to get more game time. Obviously, both of them are pushing for a place in Thomas Tuchel's World Cup squad. I think at the moment, both probably will miss out. Obviously, Dean Henderson in good form for Crystal Palace, and he does seem to like James Trafford, even though he's not playing for Manchester City.
He can't bring James Trafford.
So maybe there's an opportunity, but I think it is coming to the crunch now. Eddie Howe's been asked about it in his press conference today. Could a change of goalkeeper be in the offing? Ramsdale did well, didn't he, in that Spurs League Cup game?
It's terrific.
You commentated, so I think he probably will feel he deserves the opportunity. And it's not just one error. We were at St James's Park when they lost to Arsenal, and they lost to Arsenal because he came flapping for a corner in the last minute and didn't get anywhere near it. He made mistakes at West Ham in the game they lost and against Brentford. So I think the charge sheet is mounting up now when it comes to Nick Pope.
David Raya gets caught out as well, but it doesn't seem to be
well, they still win games, don't they?
Well, they do. And then, you know, but what I'm saying is from an individual point of view, from a goalkeeping point of view, there's not many goalkeepers that are completely error-free.
Absolutely, but you are measured by the significance of the mistake, aren't
you? Well, yeah, but you also do have to think about the saves as well, which I think Eddie Howe has mentioned.
And the assist against Benfica, by the way, for best assist of the season.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a bonus, but I think that the data analysis guys, including the manager, will look at it and say, look, how many points has he lost us? How many points has he won us? Let's have a look at the balance of it, whereas we only look at the mistakes that goalkeepers made. I don't get, though, I have to say, Ramsdale going to Newcastle and not being given the number one shirt. I don't know why your mate Ramos didn't do that. I mean, I don't know if you've spoken to him on a golf course in Portugal recently.
No, I haven't. It's Premier League football, isn't it? And he backs himself.
It's not, though, is it?
I think he would have backed himself to go there and be the number one. Who knows? Maybe this weekend he might be.
He might be. Scott Minto there, advocate for Nick Pope, the former Charlton goalkeeper.
I promise you
that. You will.
Don't go the 6-7 again.
This is talkSPORT. Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Scott Minto. We're here with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
Las Vegas, baby, on talkSPORT.
Well, the countdown is on. You've only got until 4 o'clock today, so don't miss your chance to kick off 2026 by winning an epic trip to Vegas thanks to our friends at Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. And if you want to take me, Crook, with you, that's absolutely fine. We're available. Not long now until you and your best mate, could be one of us too, could be flying upper class from London to Vegas, checking into a luxury spa villa for 4 incredible nights at the Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. I reckon we can squeeze Scotty in too.
Big time Crookie would be on that.
What? Oh yeah, he would
that
definitely.
Flight.
Can you imagine?
Champagne.
Oh dear. Cheering. We get to go to the game between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs as well, and $5,000 in cash. And if you take Crook, he will add another worth £5,000. Only joking. So clear your calendar. January the 2nd to the 7th, 2026. Nothing starts the new year like Vegas. Good luck. This is how to get involved.
21 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text at £2 plus standard network rates. Bill payer's permission required. Or call 03434239761. Calls are charged at standard rate. All entries must be received by the 28th of November at 4 p.m. This is a network promotion. Run across talkSPORT, Virgin Radio UK and Talk. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
Newcastle United are without a win in 9 Premier League away games. They've lost each of their last 3 at Brighton, West Ham and Brentford. And Eddie Howe has been bemoaning this morning the fact that his team can't hold on to leads.
This season, for whatever reason, has brought about a set of circumstances, really, that I have to comment on, and rightly so. But sometimes you don't have necessarily all the right responses or answers, should I say, to the set questions. And I think anyone that comes out with one definitive answer, I think that's a difficult one to judge. We're disappointed. Look, we started the games really well. We've scored at good times. And historically, I think from those moments we've gone on and either been able to keep a clean sheet, because there's 2 ways of looking at that. One goal is enough, and defensively we pride ourselves on being good enough to maintain that clean sheet. And also the other side of it is we should go on and look to score the second and third goal and really consolidate our strong start. We haven't done either, and that's a disappointment, not just for me but for the players.
That's Eddie Howe talking ahead of their game with Everton at 5:30 tomorrow afternoon. Newcastle winless in the last 4 games in the Premier League against Everton. Everton have won just 4 of the last 14 against the Magpies. It did look as if it's got draw written all over it. Harvey Barnes might have something to say about that. Scott Minto scored all of Newcastle's last 4 goals in all competitions.
Yeah, is he English or is he Scottish?
Well, I think if Steve Clarke has his way, he'll definitely be Scottish by the time we get round to the World Cup.
Just a really good player. I remember covering him in the Championship, and I can tell you from a personal point of view, from a fullback's point of view, when you're up against a winger that is happy to go both ways, down the outside or inside, and quite happy on either foot, it's an absolute nightmare. Show him outside, well, he'll go outside. Show him inside, and we know what he can do. So there's nothing like, and this is where, I'm certainly not going to tell Eddie Howe to do his job, but from a player's point of view, when someone's on fire, you just play them. Don't think too much. Don't try and make any changes. He quite simply has to play. The away form is a real problem. We've spoken about this before, where it's difficult to combine the Premier League and the Champions League, but they're doing okay with that in terms of the Champions League and immediately post-Champions League. But the home form versus away form, there's a massive problem, and that's something that Eddie Howe needs to sort out.
Sunderland unbeaten at home in the Premier League so far this season. They take on Bournemouth tomorrow. Should be an entertaining game. Only West Ham United's matches in the Premier League this season have seen more goals than Bournemouth's this season. I'm not sure Andoni Iraola is too happy about that.
I think we've done a lot of very good things lately. We are, I think, improving, as I said, especially on the ball. But we are conceding cheap goals, I would say. Set plays against Villa, even the other day, 2 free kicks from very far that we concede. I think they are coming from, long free kicks, situations where you shouldn't suffer as much, no? And the truth is we've conceded goals in this, especially these past 2 games, and these situations get your game very difficult.
Bournemouth have lost 4 of the last 7 Premier League games away from home, as many as they had done in their previous 18 on the road. What's happened?
Listen, they're still a relatively young team. The squad is not deep because obviously they sold a lot of players to big clubs around Europe in the summer. So they're going to have peaks and troughs. But I think overall, it's been a great start to the season. Their best ever start, I think, to a Premier League season. They're fun to watch, as you've already alluded to, because there are usually goals at both ends. Obviously, they didn't have Antoine Semenyo for the last game against West Ham. I suggest if he did have played, probably they would have won that game. He should be back this weekend. So I'm not concerned about Bournemouth. I think this could be a cracking game, actually, against Sunderland, because both teams are going to go for it.
He played at the Stadium of Light, didn't he, back in 2020, Antoine Semenyo. He was on loan from Bristol City. He made only 7 appearances for a team at the time that were languishing in League One before COVID struck and he returned to Bristol as the first lockdown emerged. And maybe if it's that sort of idea of someone coming back and haunting a former team tomorrow, we'll find out as part of Game Day Live tomorrow. That one kicks off at 3 o'clock. Adrian Durham will be on air throughout the course of the afternoon. In fact, he's got an earlier start tomorrow because we've got no live Premier League action till 8 o'clock tomorrow night. So he's on air early and he'll be taking you around the grounds with all the goals as they go in from the EFL, from the Premier League and Scottish Premiership and beyond. Sunday, Crook and I will be at Stamford Bridge. In fact, Scott, Crook and I will be at Stamford Bridge on Sunday by the sounds of it. We're on air from 2 o'clock after Crystal Palace against Manchester United to bring you Game Day Live as we go around the grounds in the Premier League. There's quite a bit to get our teeth into, but of course the main focus will be on Chelsea against Arsenal. Now, attention switches to that next. Chelsea have got a bad record against the Gunners. They haven't beaten them at Stamford Bridge in the Premier League since 2018. Scott was on the bench.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good afternoon, it's bang on midday. Here are your sports headlines. I'm Will Hobbs, and 2 away fans have been arrested after broken seats were thrown during Aston Villa's 2-1 Europa League win against Young Boys. Forward Donyell Marlon was struck on the head by an object during the first half. Sam Matterface was on the scene.
I saw punches being thrown by the supporters and one connected with a policeman's head that took his helmet off. So let's not pretend that this was the police trying to cause problems. There was a bloke who actually smashed up a seat, picked it up and then threw it at a line of police.
Police say 2 visiting supporters were detained on suspicion of a fray and assaulting an officer. Down under, meanwhile, no Cummins or Hazelwood again for Australia, so another golden opportunity for England, who spurned a ginormous one in Perth. David Bumble-Lloyd says the batting approach has to shift.
We're going to wear the bowlers down. These matches are coming thick and fast. And we're going to have an hour off and just play 2, 3 and over. Rather than say keep going, bang, 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 164, they've got to get 200. They'll get 200. They need one special innings and they got it.
Back to the footy. The FA has bid for the 2035 Women's World Cup to be hosted across the UK. And Eddie Howe's weighing up whether to replace Nick Pope with Aaron Ramsdale ahead of the weekend.
Changing a goalkeeper is possible, of course, but it's a big call to make because I think depending on the style of goalkeeper, a lot changes and defenders in front get used to a style. So that's something for me to consider. Certainly rotating the goalkeeper position isn't something that I want to do.
And Mike Tyndall's Rebel League R360 is postponing its launch by 2 years to 2028. Reports are there are fears it doesn't have the players or the finances to launch. 8 leading test nations, of course, along with the Lions, have banned anyone from playing international rugby if they sign on to the tournament.
talkSPORT News.
We're hearing mandatory screening for prostate cancer will not be recommended for use on the NHS, and a huge search operation's underway to find a 76-year-old British national who fell from a cruise ship near Tenerife. There's more from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Get 10% off 2 or more premium tyres in our Black Friday event. Don't miss out and book today at quickfit.com and drive away happy every time. Conditions apply.
Windy with bands of cloud and blustery rain pushing in from the west for most, and brighter periods around these, drier and brighter in the southeast.
talkSPORT, Sam Matterface with Alex Crook and Scott Minto with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com. Well, it is 12 o'clock. It's midday. It's Friday afternoon. It's Fun Boy Friday, and the boys are getting very excited. Crook's in a fantastic mood today. I haven't seen him this happy since the January window closed last year, and he bobbled open a bottle of champagne and relaxed. In fact, I haven't actually the last time I saw him this happy was when he broke the Trent Alexander-Arnold story. He was happy that day. But he
didn't buy any clobber in the January sales, did he?
What's wrong with this?
No, I like it. I like
All the kids are wearing this these days, mate.
Are they? You're not a kid, just to let you know.
Not that size, they're not.
If the kids were wearing it, all 4 of them could get in there. By the way, he's had a good day today because he was going out with us later on, so he's very excited about that. And he'll be pleased to know that we're going to record the podcast early, so you're all right.
There we go. So Crookie gets his way.
Yeah, because remember, it's Crookie's world, and we're all just living.
I've got 2 Christmas dues this weekend. One with you today, and then with the cricket team tomorrow night.
Oh, how is your batting average, by the way?
The cricket team I've not played for 2 years. But there you go.
And then, of course, we've got post-match debrief
on Sunday. Yes, well, that's very.
Jason Cundy going to be around for that?
We can have a word with Jace. I'm sure he'll be there.
And that's because we're going to Chelsea Arsenal on Sunday for Game Day Live. And Arsenal top of the Premier League after 12 games. Second place Chelsea are their opponents at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea haven't beaten them since August 2018 at Stamford Bridge. No win in their last 6 Premier League meetings there. How does that change, Scott Minto?
Look, I think it's going to be very tough because I think what we've seen this season is that Arsenal are the best team, not just in the country, but probably in Europe right now. And I think they showed that midweek. But I think Chelsea at the Bridge, I think Chelsea have shown in any one-off game, and I think Barcelona's a good example. I think PSG's a great example. Liverpool's another example, of course.
Everybody beats them.
No, but Liverpool actually I thought they played really well. I said earlier I thought it was Liverpool's best game of the season. Actually, obviously Real Madrid was. But I thought they actually played well at the Bridge. And that was, again, not a coming of age, but a performance of a way of finding a win against the top-class side that was seen still playing well at the time or reasonably well. of finding a way to win, and that's exactly what they did. So, look, we're up against an Arsenal side that I think is going to be very difficult to beat. I've already said it's going to be 1-1. I think if it's at the Emirates, my head would say Arsenal. But I think at the Bridge, the way they've been and coming off the back of that game with the players they've got, I think Chelsea can at least get something out of this by a draw. The question for me is, does he do a similar kind of forward style with Neto up front and the two pacey wide players out wide? Or does he go maybe a Delap or Joao Pedro as a 9?
Well, you never know with Enzo Maresca, do you? Because he sometimes springs a surprise, Malagusto in midfield like he did against Liverpool, and it worked. So we'll see on Sunday. But for Arsenal, is this the first time since the Invincible era that there's a proper fear factor about them? People were a little bit concerned every time they come up against them now. They've got a bit of something about them.
I would say so. And actually, two big results in Europe this season have really sent out a statement. I was there when they beat Atletico at home and played them off the park in the second half. And the same the other night. I actually had that down as a score draw. Bayern Munich unbeaten in all competitions, but they've been comfortably dispatched. So I think Arsenal are the most complete team at the moment, not just in the Premier League, but in Europe as well. And that's why I think they'll win this game and take a big step towards their first title in more than 2 decades. I just think they're in the groove right now. They've got momentum. They believe every time they step out onto the pitch, they're going to come away with a positive result. And they've got players coming back. I mean, there's a possibility that Kai Havertz could be in the squad this weekend. Martin Odegaard only on the bench against Bayern. When you can afford to leave out a player of that calibre, it tells you where they're at this moment.
He can't get in the side at the moment.
Well. And do you know what? That shows the depth of the squad that they have amassed, and they're very impressive. But 2 players stand out for me as an intriguing battle. And I think we can loosely sort of suggest that they're the 2 best midfield players in Europe right now. They're certainly amongst the best in the Premier League, and that probably elevates you to being the best in Europe. But there's no doubt that Moises Caicedo and Declan Rice are the 2 most important players for their teams at this moment in time. Who comes out on top?
It's interesting about the most important, and I think you're right, because if you look at Chelsea, the most talented is Cole Palmer, and the match winner he is, and yet he hasn't played for some time, and Chelsea, they are where they are and doing really well. I do think he is the most important player. Actually, Cole Palmer and then maybe Mark Cucurella just behind. But in terms of the battle between the 2, and Declan Rice was asked it, he said we play in slightly different positions, but that might mean they will come up.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Exactly. So, look, and I'm not fudging the issue here. What I would say is that I think as an out-and-out number 6, I think Moises Caicedo is arguably the best in the world. Declan Rice is still in an international class number 6, but I don't think Moises Caicedo can play 8 in the way that Declan Rice can. And it's for me, it's a little bit harder to be that up and down, to be able to help out your defence, but also get further forward, to help create chances, to maybe even score goals yourself, to get into the box in the way that he does, to have that energy, to win the tackles that Moises Caicedo does, but he just does a little bit more going forward. Plus you add on the set pieces, which he is just one of... I didn't know he had it in his locker.
Well, the Slavia Prague manager says he's the best set-piece taker in the world.
Yeah, and up there. I mean, look, what I would say is I think you've got Saka on one side who's almost as good.
Yeah.
And with those in-swinging corners, and the in-swinging does make a big difference.
Yeah.
But you've got Declan Rice, who the way he puts in corners, free kicks.
It's unreal.
So open play, set pieces, defensively, offensively, I think Declan Rice is a more complete, despite Moises Caicedo being the best number 6.
And I think if you go back to the final that we were at in Prague, the Conference League together, and you look at that performance, and he was excellent that day, I think from that moment he has kicked on further. And every year he's taken a step forward, whether it be with England, with Arsenal. He's got better and better and better. And you are seeing now all of that potential that Chelsea saw when they hired him for the youth team, that West Ham harnessed when they took him when Chelsea didn't want him anymore, that Arsenal spotted and were quite happy to lash out 100 million quid on, come to the fore. He is at the top of his game. He's playing brilliant football. He's a major asset for Arsenal, and he's going to be a major asset for England as well.
Yeah, and we've spoken a bit today already about how sometimes when you go from a lesser club to a big club, we talked about Milos Kerkez making that step up from Bournemouth to Liverpool and the shirt weighing heavily. It's been the complete opposite, isn't it, for Declan Rice? Straight away, he's embraced the history of Arsenal. He's embraced the pressure of trying to deliver silverware, which has been in short supply for them over the past decade or so. And I remember speaking to him, I think it might even have been after the North London derby last season. And he said, I didn't know when I came here how much neutral rival supporters despise Arsenal. I'm not sure why, but nobody really likes Arsenal. But you know what? I'm all for that. And that siege mentality he really seems to have brought into.
I just love his attitude. He's such a sunny character.
I remember having a conversation with you, and I think it might have been alongside Adrian as well, at a West Ham game. And we were discussing Declan Rice. And I said, you know what? He can do everything on the pitch. He's a brilliant player. Obviously, he could score more goals, but that wasn't his job at that particular time. And if he could score 20 a season, he'd be worth 200 million, not 100 million. I also said he'd be great on a night out. And you sort of said, oh, that's really important. I said, honestly, that dressing room, what goes on in not just on the training pitch, which obviously is really important, but just in the dressing room. He's a great lad to have. He's a leader. And even if he's not playing well, which doesn't happen very often, he seems to be one of those leaders that lifts other players around him. And why he's not Arsenal captain, I don't know.
Well, he's the captain without the armband, isn't he?
He is.
Are you suggesting that Declan Rice is football's equivalent of Alex Crook?
No. I heard Declan Rice doesn't drink, and I don't know whether that's true or not. But
he probably doesn't. He's a Premier League footballer. Not many of them do.
Okay, yeah. And
didn't he say he was going to allow himself to have a beer after the
I think he did. I did hear him say that. So maybe he has the one or two. But my point is, when things aren't going very well, and sometimes a night out can help it. Trust me, it can.
It's not 1997 now, Scott.
It can create that kind of bonding. You don't always have to go to excesses, Sam. You know, like maybe
hold on a second.
In the 90s.
What did he say to us earlier?
He's out for the duration, not just tonight, but Sunday as well.
I'm not playing anymore.
Chelsea have won 5 of their last 6 Premier League games. Cole Palmer is almost back, 75% fit. Why would you risk him in this game?
I think you need to, because actually you're talking about some of the key players, and I think you covered most of them there. Cucurella is one of those who seems to be better, the better opponent he's up against. So I think the battle between him and Saka is going to be fascinating. Enzo Fernandez in that number 10 position, brilliant the other night against Barcelona. 2 goals ruled out, 1 for handball in the build-up, 1 for offside. I don't think Cole Palmer gets his place back at the moment because of how well Enzo's playing in that role.
16 different scorers since Palmer last played for Chelsea. They spread the goals around. They don't have an out-and-out goal source. If you look at the Chelsea strikers, the starting striker for Chelsea in the Premier League this season, 1 goal in 12 Premier League games and 1 assist in 12 Premier League games. So if you're playing striker for Chelsea, that usually doesn't mean goals.
You've nicked my stat because I was just about to come out with that, honestly. And it's an incredible stat, really, isn't it? And I'll just repeat it. In fact, I can't even find it. Chelsea's starting striker has scored 1 goal in 12 Premier League games this season and just 1 assist. The starting striker in the Premier League. Which goes to show about...
Is that because of the effectiveness of the wide players, the 10s?
Well, obviously, João Pedro played in that role. He's been scoring goals, but he's been playing... When he's been scoring goals, he's been playing in number 10. I think the only goal...
3 goals and 2 assists have come when he's played as more drawn.
The only goal of those strikers was that goal against Spurs.
Right.
But there is an issue. There is a bit... I mean, it seems incredible to say, but there is a bit of an issue there, which is why I actually would go with Neto again.
I was just about to say that, because actually what you know about Arsenal is they love the physical battle, so maybe they would prefer to be up against Liam Delap.
Absolutely. I don't think it's a game for Liam Delap this weekend. Too physical, gets a little bit hot-headed. I think in this sort of environment, it's probably best to play Neto, have a João Pedro just off him or whatever, and then go from there. I think Delap's got a great future, and I think if you coach him properly and you look after him, eventually he'll be able to become the striker that Chelsea want him to be, hopefully. But I don't think this is the right game.
At £30 million, he was an absolute no-brainer and a steal. And the talent that he's got, the potential he's got, but he's still potential. These big centre-halves, they don't want to come up against nippy players.
No.
You know, so they will much prefer to come up against a Delap than a Pedro Neto. Estevao on one side and then Garnacho playing really well on the other.
Will he play Estevao? Because
he better play.
Adrian Durham, we were there on Tuesday night, and he said to me, if Estevao's not in the starting 11 on Sunday, you have to batter Enzo Maresca.
Well, I had a bit of a meltdown the other week, didn't I, when I got at Burnley when I got the team sheet and he wasn't on it, and I was not happy about it.
But it was the right decision.
Why?
Because there's bigger games to come. Look what he did against.
So you think he'll start this weekend?
So he has to start this week.
Yeah, I think he'll start.
It's the right decision if he starts this weekend.
Yeah, but again, Enzo Maresca. I mean, he's such Marmite. And
you cannot.
Can we go down? Are we going down this route again, Maresca? The job that he's done, I think, has been
It's been terrific.
He was tactically brilliant on Tuesday night. Again,
He's tactically brilliant.
Do you know what he is? He is the embodiment of the squad. He's the personification of the squad. The squad is inexperienced, young, and learning on the job.
And very talented.
He's
a very talented
coach. He
coach.
is too, and that's exactly what he's doing. He is learning on the job.
So exactly. So he will make mistakes, and he has made mistakes. And I'm not saying he's, the next Pep Guardiola, but what I'm saying, he's an incredibly talented coach who, to win the Conference League, they should have done. To finish fourth, I thought was a little bit above par, but to beat PSG in the Club World Cup in the way that they did was sensational. And where they are right now, after what was a tricky start again with not having any time off, I think he's been absolutely brilliant. I really do. But yeah, of course, I would play Estevao.
We are going to this game on Sunday. We're bringing you live coverage from 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon. We want you to join us on Game Day Live. You can download the talkSPORT app. It means you can, when you're going Christmas shopping, you're being forced to go and get the Christmas tree on Sunday. Just take the talkSPORT app out. Listen to us. We'll be talking you through Chelsea versus Arsenal and all the other big Premier League games throughout the course of the afternoon on Sunday. And what a game we've got. What players we've got to watch. Rice, Eze. We've got Ødegaard possibly coming back at the weekend. We've got Estevao to watch, João Pedro. I mean, it's just absolutely fantastic. Noni Madueke going back to Stamford Bridge. This is going to be a brilliant game. Join us 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon. Crook and I, and we might even rope Minto in as well at some point.
I can't be with.
What are you doing?
What
are you doing?
I'm doing.
You're moonlighting.
TV.
You're moonlighting.
Who you got with you, by the way? Who's the ex-Arsenal?
No, can't you?
I've just found out David Bentley.
Can't you record an interview with him and play?
I'll do a little bit with
show.
Scott and David.
Do it. We'll get him on.
You'll have to step up though. He's a character, David Bentley.
I've worked with him 3 times now.
Don't let him take the limelight.
He's a great lad, David Bentley. Yeah, great lad. Obviously, Jody kind of, got into the ring with him, didn't he, recently?
Jody Morris, he had that fight, didn't they?
Who won? Jody.
Did he?
Yeah.
Jody's a scrapper.
He's a little scrapper, I was going to say.
Scrappy do.
I wouldn't want to get into that.
He's like you, small man syndrome.
Yeah.
Great lad.
Angry small bloke.
Great guy.
Sounds like me at 5-a-side football. You're listening to Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Scott Minto, and we're live on talkSPORT with Soccer Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go. It is talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface alongside Scott Minto and Alex Crook today. Exclusive story by The Times' Matt Lawton, a colleague of us here in the news building, or a friend of the show. He says that leading football agent Pini Zahavi has defended his company's involvement in a commercial deal between Nike and a 12-year-old Barcelona academy player. It's claimed such practices are a commonplace in the game as agents compete for the best young talent. Under FIFA regulations, agents are forbidden from signing young players to agreements until they're in their 16th year and about to secure their first professional contracts. In an exclusive story that is exposed today, that there is no rule that prevents an agent advising a child and their family on commercial contracts before that age. Is age but a number when we talk about kids getting involved in commercial deals? Is this the right way of going on? Should there be sort of protections in place, or is it just, if you've got the opportunity, take it?
I think it's very difficult for a family to say no if someone like Nike's coming along and offering money. I worry, though, about the youngsters and their future, whether it be football, whether it be, acting, whether it be being a pop star, whatever, where, you haven't fully formed emotionally and psychologically, and then suddenly you're thrust into the limelight, and then it could go wrong for whatever reason, and then what's the aftercare for that? I think it's important, and it totally depends. Like with Max Dowman, really, I'm still a bit uncomfortable, as amazing talent as he is, and his talent justifies being in the Arsenal squad and playing for the Arsenal first team in whatever competition. I'm still uncomfortable that he's GCSE year, and yet he's going and sort of almost putting that to one side. Now, he probably never need any GCSE ever again. But that's
why
not my
are
point.
you uncomfortable?
Because I just think from an emotional point of view, a 15-year-old, and for me, there has to be a cut-off age. So I'd probably give it a 16, just because that's your sixth form, your college years. So anything below that, and it's not even about getting GCSEs, it's just about being grounded. And I'm sure Max is, I'm sure his family is, I'm sure the agency is. I'm just using him as an example because he's such a precocious talent. I just think emotionally, we saw Ethan Waneri make his debut at 15, and then we didn't really see him for a couple of years. And I was kind of worried about him, but I didn't really know
much this season either.
We haven't seen him much this season, but the Arsenal squad is as good as it is. So in one sense, I'm not 100% surprised. But it's just, without sort of getting almost too deep, I just think it's very important we look after the person as well as the player, and not just in terms of during the career, but post-career. Now, you can turn around and say, well, that's a long way in the future, but I think parents need to be educated. Unless you're already in the game, you don't know too much about it. And for this 12-year-old's kid and family, I think they do need advice. And I think Pini Zahavi, as much as his name is out there as one of the super agents, I would guess he gives great advice. So actually, I think for the family in this particular instance, I think it's a good thing.
What's really interesting is that actually, if you go into the mechanics of how, for example, a 15-year-old operates when they're around the first team, there are so many safeguards that are put in place in order for them to be able to perform their duties. They can't change in the same changing room. They have to. There's certain things that they have to be restricted from doing. They can't go in certain different places at certain times. They travel at different times. They have to make sure they've done the schoolwork, all that kind of stuff. There's loads of different protections that are put in place for them. The problem with football is when you then step out there and you go into the commercial world and you're trying to sort of pick up contracts, there's so much money available now. There's so much sort of thirst to try and find the next bright talent, to pin your hopes on someone who may well be the next Lionel Messi or Lamine Yamal, that we saw it with Freddie Adu many years ago, didn't we? He had contracts coming out of his ears, but then he never actually ended up making a proper fist of it as a professional footballer.
Do you remember him?
Gael Kakuta used to play for Chelsea, got caught up in a difficult situation between Le Havre and Chelsea, and then, in the end, we didn't see the best of him either. Is that the biggest issue here, that actually there's so much money swinging around? It can sometimes, and this is not an example of that, but it can become the Wild West, and actually you might need an agent, even at the age of 12, to try and protect you from that.
Yeah, and as Scott's mentioned there, you look at Pini Zahavi's track record in the game, and there aren't many better. So I sort of agree with Scott that maybe in this case it's a positive. I think what you need as a youngster bursting through, not just in football, but probably in any sport, is you need a good network behind you. You need a strong family. unit who've got your best interests at heart. What you don't want to do at a young age is surround yourself by people who just see you as a meal ticket. And I think there's countless examples of where that's been the case.
I know, and I've heard of examples where the parents are asking for a lot of money, and it's not necessarily the best for their child, but because they haven't experienced the type of money but know it's there, that they want that. And they, it's about the here and now rather than thinking about for the future. I mean, Arsene Wenger even said, I can't remember the player he was talking about, but he said, I've got to offer him, he wasn't even in the first team, I've got to offer him 30 grand a week. Because if I don't, he'll go to another club that will offer it. And he probably won't even make the first team. And I don't think he did. So the amount of money that is swirling and swishing around in the Premier League is just incredible. I think it's right. It's supply and demand. Actors get that type of money. Pop stars get that type of money. But it's about what you do with that money. And, my big advice to anyone, whether it be a family or a player, whatever wage you earn, keep 50% of it, put it in the bank account if you want to, but put the other 50% and maybe even higher in an investment that you don't touch until you're 30, 35, 40. Because you can easily lose that money. There's a lot of stories out there, both in football and in other sports, where they've earned all this money, they're worth all this, and suddenly it's gone because they've not been able to handle it.
This is talkSPORT. We'll talk to a promising youngster in just a second, because Nico O'Reilly, the Manchester City defender, joins us very shortly ahead of their 3:00 game tomorrow, Manchester City against Leeds, which we'll cover on Game Day Live with Adrian Durham.
A shower of plastic cups, a cut to the head of a goalscorer, police officers punched and seats torn out. It was an awful night of behaviour from young boys fans at Villa Park.
I felt for the police because they're probably held back of what they can actually do, but it was so frustrating to watch fans throwing punches to the face of the police
Yeah,
officers.
late 80s, I played a year in Switzerland. And I've never seen any trouble at all.
Well, on the field, Villa and Donyell Malen stood tall. He scored a brave brace as they won comfortably, but Unai wasn't quite satisfied.
Sometimes the last pass when we could shoot, we could score, we were doing the last pass and not really clear.
Meanwhile, all the 1979 Forest legends were in the house at the City Ground to watch skipper Ryan Yates score his first European goal. Sean Dyche's men breezed past Malmo 3-0.
We've laid down some really good markers, I think. For us, I mean, not against what people think from the outside. I mean, our internal markers for what the group should expect from themselves. And I'm really pleased for everyone who's worked so hard, my staff and the players, because it's important that you do get a reward, and the reward is winning games.
Down under in cricket, there's no Cummins or Hazelwood. The Aussies have named an unchanged squad for the second Ashes Test. And Wales captain Jack Morgan has been ruled out of the start of the Six Nations. The flankers just had shoulder surgery.
It is Fun by Friday with $1 Million Minto, the Saltmeister Alex Crook, and me, FA Sam. We're here through till 1 o'clock this afternoon. Tomorrow, Manchester City take on Leeds at 3 o'clock start. Adrian Durham will give you all the goals as they go in. Nico O'Reilly expected to be part of that team. He sat down with the Crookmeister this week, and he was asked whether or not, being from Manchester, was he always a City fan?
Yeah, I've always grew up being a City fan. Ever since I was a little boy, so yeah.
Who were your heroes as you were growing up? Which players did you sort of look up to?
There's a few, like David Silva, Yaya Toure, Kevin De Bruyne. Yeah, there's quite a few.
So now you're actually part of the dressing room and obviously playing games regularly in the Premier League. Do you have to pinch yourself sometimes that you've achieved your boyhood dreams?
Yeah, I do a little bit. It's a mad feeling, and to be here I'm so grateful, and yeah, it's a great feeling.
Does that bring a bit of extra pressure as well? Because I assume all your family are big City fans as well. So whether you win, lose or draw probably means more to them.
Yeah, I mean there's always pressure playing at a club like this. We're always expected to get 3 points every game, so yeah, it always comes with pressure.
In terms of your position, obviously I think you grew up playing as a midfielder. You're playing as a fullback now under Pep Guardiola. How's that transition been, and what's your preferred role?
I wouldn't say I have a preferred role. I mean, I just enjoy playing, being on the pitch, being able to show what I can do. I think the transition's been pretty fine. I think I've adapted well to it, and yeah, I'm enjoying it.
And do you relish the challenge of coming up against people like Mo Salah?
Yeah, definitely. It shows who you are as a player. When you play against people like that, obviously he's a legend of the Premier League, such a good player, he's done it for so many years. So yeah, of course, I love the chances I get to play against players like that.
And obviously it's still early days in the season, but how do you assess how it's gone for City so far, and what's the aim now for the rest of the season for the club?
Yeah, the aim is just to knuckle down and crack on, try and get as many points as we can. Obviously we're trying to win every single game we can. There's still a long way to go in the league, so yeah, I mean we'll just keep going.
Do you use what happened last season, when obviously it was a bit of a disappointing campaign, as extra motivation to make sure this one's a lot better?
Definitely, because we know we wasn't good enough last season. We put ourselves in a pretty bad position at times. And yeah, it was down to us. And I mean, this season we just need to come back and be better.
Obviously, the squad has changed quite a bit over the last couple of years, with senior players moving on and new ones coming in. How easy has it been to adapt to new players in the dressing room and maybe a slightly different style of play as well?
I mean, everyone is a top player, so it's always easy to adapt when the players around you are so good. So yeah, I mean, we're getting there, slowly getting there. But yeah, I think we're playing well at the minute. I think the tactics are good. I'm enjoying it. I think the team's enjoying it, and that's the most important thing, to play well.
Talk to me about Erling Haaland, because watching him this season, I mean, he obviously hit ridiculous numbers throughout his career, but he seems to be better than ever. Do you see that day in, day out in training? That he's at the absolute peak right now?
Yeah, he's on form at the minute. Every single game he's a threat. We know he's always going to be there in the box to put the ball in the back of the net. And yeah, if he stays like this, we'll do very well.
Talk to me about England. Obviously, you won your first couple of caps during the last international break. How was that as an experience?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Great experience. The lads were top. Obviously, we got 2 wins, 2 clean sheets, and yeah, I really enjoyed it.
And we've got the World Cup draw in Washington at the end of next week. Will it start to become real then when England find out who they're going to be facing, and that ambition of yours, no doubt, to get yourself on a plane is sort of heightened for next summer?
I think I just need to knuckle down there at the club until March, because that's when the next camp is. So I just need to focus here for now, make sure I'm putting in the performances so everyone over there knows that I'm doing well. And then from March to the end of the season, I need to carry on doing the same thing. And then, yeah, hopefully I can get on that plane and be over there with the lads.
Thomas Tuchel and Pep Guardiola seem to me 2 very driven, very determined managers. Do you see similarities, having spent a couple of weeks with Tuchel during the international break?
Yeah, both amazing managers, both driven, both passionate. Both know what they want, and yeah, they're both very demanding, and I think this is what you need to be a successful team.
20 years of age, Nico O'Reilly speaking to our chief football correspondent Alex Crook. He's got every chance, hasn't he, Scott Minto, of being England's left back at the World Cup?
Yeah, and I bet you if you'd have said that to him 18 months ago, he said, what, left back? You know, let alone playing for England. But I think he's done so well for City. And look, I always sort of say sometimes it's easier to play in a team like Manchester City because they have the ball all the time. But I've seen him in one-on-one situations where he's actually dealt with it really well from a defensive point of view. You know what I think about Miles Lewis-Skelly? I really like him, and I really want to see him playing for Arsenal. But 1, he's not playing for Arsenal, and 2, I think he struggled a little bit against, albeit a top-class Michael Elise the other night. Calafiori came on and did really well. But I think Rico Lewis is getting to be above him purely because he's playing more minutes.
Nico O'Reilly, sorry. Then you've got Tino Livramento, who he will play. There's Lewis Hall, of course. Yes.
As well. So, yeah, not only is he playing for one of the top clubs in Europe, and they are, he could well be going to the World Cup.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with the England left-back position, because I really think they want Livramento in the squad. I think he'll be part of it, and I think they want him in the team, really, because he's such a good footballer, and he can play both sides, and that's really impressive. But obviously, Nico O'Reilly has been doing it in the Champions League, playing well for Manchester City as well. So to have those 2 available is great. James as well, and possibly Spence. I don't know. Maybe they'll take Lewis Hall and have 2 left backs and 2 right backs in Livramento. We'll see. But certainly they've got options there now, which they didn't have for a very, very long time. The latest episode of the talkSPORT Daily podcast, by the way, is available now as Flex and Max Scott, joined by Manchester City writer Sam Lee, to discuss whether Pep Guardiola is ruining his legacy with his recent behaviour and whether City are still title contenders. If you want to hear more, it's on the talkSPORT Daily podcast, available from where you get your podcast, and it's available now. Well, I think I might have to download that and listen to it, because I didn't know that was what the subject was. And I can't really see Pep Guardiola ruining his legacy. Can anyone?
He did have to apologise, didn't he, after going on and confronting the cameraman? It wasn't really becoming of arguably one of the best managers the Premier League's ever seen.
If you've seen Pep Guardiola over the last 20 years, that is not out of character, is it, Scott?
Yeah. Let's not go there with Pep Guardiola, one of the greatest managers this planet has ever seen. And, yeah, you know, no one's perfect.
No. Daniel Farke, is he perfect? Not if you look at some of the Leeds social media this week. There's quite a lot of noise around his position. Of course, it's Leeds who go to Manchester City this weekend. And reports surfaced this week that his position remains under threat. Suggestions that his pre-match press conference ahead of Manchester City was to be cancelled. What do you hear on the grapevine?
Well, they were Twitter rumours, really, no more than that. I know we did reach out to Leeds and we were told it was business as usual as far as Daniel Farke is concerned. This noise was always going to come around because if you remember at the end of last season, even in the afterglow of promotion to the Premier League, there were suggestions that maybe the hierarchy could go in a different direction. We approached the club then and they didn't really pour cold water on those claims, albeit they stuck with Daniel Farke in the end. But I think he's always been nagging away his poor record in the Premier League. He's got the worst points return of any Leeds manager to have taken charge of over 5 Premier League games. And, of course, he didn't pick up many points in the top flight at Norwich either. But my question would be, has he been backed enough? I know Simon Jordan pushed back on that when I was on yesterday and said, well, they spent £100 million. Had they spent it in the right areas? They look very short of goals for me. They signed Metcher, obviously scored last weekend against Villa, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who with the greatest will in the world, is not going to be prolific in the Premier League anymore.
Not easy to find prolific strikers, though, is it? Let's be honest.
Well, not when you're not going to spend any money on them, no, certainly. But you look at the league table, yes, they're in the bottom 3 now, Leeds, but are they dramatically underperforming? I don't think so. I feel a bit sorry for Farke because it's a tough run of games. They're going to lose to Manchester City. I think it's Liverpool and Chelsea after that, and if they do lose all 3, then these noises will only get louder.
No, the issue is the fact they've lost 5 of the last 6 and they've played Tottenham, Burnley, West Ham, Brighton, Nottingham Forest and Aston Villa. And
how many of those teams should they be beating realistically?
OK, but their next run of fixtures is Manchester City, Chelsea and Liverpool, which makes it even more difficult. So 5 and 6 could quite easily become 8 in 9. So that's the issue here, isn't it?
I worry for Daniel Farke. I think there was an underlying thing even last season where it looked like they were going to have it, or they did have a little bit of a wobble, but he found it away. And the Leeds United fans were telling me, when I was speaking to them, of his game management isn't great. His substitutions aren't great.
You pushed back on that because you did on Sunday about the changes that he made in that Aston Villa game.
Well, the narrative of those changes is that he waited too long to make the change. But actually, when he did make the change, it was 1-1. They conceded 3 minutes after that, and he couldn't realistically make another change straight away because they'd already used 2 of their windows, so they only had 1 window left. So if he was to pick up an injury in the final 20 minutes of the game, then they would have been in serious trouble. So because of the fact that he'd had an injury to Anton Stack in the first 23 minutes, he'd used a substitution window. So that's why I was sort of giving him a little bit of a pass.
No, and in that game, you're absolutely right. I'm just saying what Leeds fans have told me, that even going back to last season, that this is the case. Look, £100 million was spent, but as Crookie says, was it spent well? They seem to go for sort of big physical players, and completely understandable because we know it's a very physical league. But how much of them have been upgrades? I mean, what's killed them is Sunderland's brilliance this season so far. You know, West Ham look like, despite them not being particularly great, they've got a manager who, they're not going down under Nuno. I'm sorry, they're not. Keith Andrews has done, and he's doing a great job at Brentford when people might have been hoping that it'd go down and be sucked into that. So there's only really Wolves. I mean, Scotty Parker's doing a pretty decent job at Burnley as well.
A very good job, yeah.
So... But this is Leeds United. Whenever I used to cover Leeds United in the Championship, it felt like a top Premier League game because of the atmosphere, especially at Ellen Road. And I do feel for the fans, I really do. But I also do worry for Farke because I think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. And then he needs the hierarchy to stay behind him and keep with it. They finished 17th even from the start of the season. That would have been absolutely brilliant.
I don't think
will he be given the chance?
I think if you look at the table now, and obviously we've applauded the fact that newly promoted teams are more competitive. It would have been difficult to be less competitive than those coming up in the last 2 years. Wolves are gone, and I think Burnley and Leeds are going to go as well. I think the bottom 3 now is going to be the bottom 3 come the end of the season because, as Scott said, who realistically are Leeds and Burnley going to finish above?
Okay, I'm sure that we'll get into that. It changes quite quickly in the Premier League, and I'll remind you that December is very, very busy. I mean, Crook has been telling me just how many games he's got to do during the course.
How many nights
every 2 days?
How many Christmas dues he's got in December?
Do you know what? It wasn't too long ago where he was texting me saying, I haven't got enough games. Now he's got, I've got too many games. Oh.
I never said that.
It's funny how things change, isn't it? We've got loads of games, and we love it live on talkSPORT 2 tonight. We've got Oxford against Ipswich in the Championship. We've got Hull and Stoke in the Championship this weekend, and Coventry Charlton as well. And we'll look ahead to the weekend in the EFL Championship in the next few minutes here on talkSPORT with Matterface, Minto and Crook. We're live through till 1 o'clock with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go.
Las Vegas, baby, on talkSPORT.
Well, the countdown is on. You've only got until 4 p.m. today, so don't miss your chance to kick off 2026 by winning an epic trip to Vegas. Thanks to our friends at Virgin Hotels Las Vegas. Not long now until you and your best mate could be flying upper class from London to Vegas, checking into a luxury spa villa for 4 incredible nights at Virgin Vegas Hotels, cheering from the stands as the Las Vegas Raiders take on the Kansas City Chiefs, and you'll get $5,000 in cash as well to spend on whatever you like. So clear your calendar. Jan 2nd to Jan 7th, 2026. Nothing starts the new year like Vegas. Good luck.
21 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text WIN to 83338. Text at £2 plus standard network rates. Bill payer's permission required. Or call 03434239761. Calls are charged at standard rate. All entries must be received by the 28th of November at 4 p.m. This is a network promotion. Run across talkSPORT, Virgin Radio UK and Talk. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
And a big thank you to Russell Holden as well for his 2.5 decades or more on the radio, bringing you the traffic and travel on TalkSport. Thank you very much for your service. It's been great to have you. I know you're a very familiar voice, and already we've had a few text messages paying tribute to your work. So, yeah, Russell, good luck, whatever you do next. Thank you very much. It has been a hell of a journey, and you will be missed. Thank you very much indeed.
A journey of queues and train delays, I'd imagine.
Yeah, stop-start. Oxford against Ipswich live tonight at 8 o'clock on TalkSport 2. Tomorrow, Stoke, Hull and Coventry, Charlton. Coventry lead the championship. They're 10 points clear of Stoke, who lie second. Both teams are on the TalkSport network this weekend. It's a year to the day since Coventry announced that Frank Lampard is their new head coach, 2.5-year contract. This lead is looking...
Is he going to have a go at Frank now?
No, do you know what I am going to say? It just shows you how fickle football fans are, because I remember the reaction.
And football journalists.
I remember the reaction.
And football pundits,
Mr.
by the way.
The reaction when Frank Lampard got the job...
From you?
...was far from positive.
From you. No, but it wasn't about Frank getting the job.
Now he's the second coming.
From you?
No, it wasn't about Frank getting the job.
Admit it, you got it wrong. He did a great job.
I think I said he found his level, actually.
No, I don't think you did. I think you haven't stopped having a pop at him for what happened in the second spell at Chelsea. You never gave him credit for what he did in difficult circumstances for getting into the top 4. He saved Everton, and like lots of managers, they ended up getting the boot the season after they saved them. See Sean Dyche for details. You know,
he's done very well.
He's done a very good job, and maybe you should backtrack, do a bit of a reverse, and tell him so.
And apologise live on air.
He's done very well. Yeah. And listen, they're in a brilliant position. 10 points clear. They'll beat Charlton, having a bit of a wobble, aren't they? Suddenly conceding goals for fun.
Tough week for Charlton.
They are the best team in the Championship, head and shoulders.
Yeah, they are.
Good luck to him.
And from now on, you can, as a punishment, you can call him Super Frank.
Absolutely.
Just ironic, isn't it, that the second place team is Stoke City, managed by Mark Robbins?
Well, yes. I mean, Middlesbrough are there as well.
They'll fall away, Borough.
I just think...
Who?
Middlesbrough.
I did the game for TalkSport 2 last week, Coventry West Brom, and it looked like a team just starting up again after the back of an international break, 2-0 down after half an hour. Ryan Mason's tactics absolutely spot on. Haji Wright had picked up an injury, and Thomas Asante was on the bench as well because he only travelled back from Thursday, and yet they still found a way to win. And then look at what they did in midweek as well. So
changes were important, weren't they? In that
changes were important. Good management.
All right, just
good use of what he's got.
It's brilliant to see a young English manager doing so well.
Stop slating them all.
Good luck to him.
They're 10 points above third. That's a massive gap.
It's massive.
Yeah, they're not going to be caught.
I couldn't get him to say it, and he will never say it because he knows how relentless the Championship is. But it looks like it's Coventry +1, and that's when you think of what he's done. A year in charge, where they were the better team in the semi-finals against Sunderland last season, and now looking like they're putting the playoffs to one side and just going for automatic promotion. They haven't spent a great deal of money. Matt Grimes last January was a massive signing.
Yeah,
he's making
Keeper's been a good signing as well.
Absolutely, Keeper's been a really good signing. He's improving the players that are already there as well.
Impressive from Frank Lampard. Oh, by the way, H&J have just sent a message saying that they're running a little bit late. We're going to have to stay till 1:05. You okay with that?
I've already seen both of them, so I know that isn't the case.
Crook is already out the door and he's ordering the pints.
What do I do? I'm stuck now. Do I go with Crookie or do I wait with you?
It's 5 minutes. Okay. Crikey.
It should be 2.5 minutes.
You are not that desperate to go and get a drink that you can't wait 2.5 minutes.
I've even pulled out a Ready Steady Crook on drives today, just for you boys.
Thank you.
Brought down the whole show.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Andy and Benty are absolutely distraught What will they do? Scotty, thank you very much. Cheers
Pleasure,
for coming in. Cheers for dressing up as well. We appreciate that. Crook, take a leaf out of his book for next week. We'll see. Actually, you're not here next week. It's me and Gabby Bonahorn next week.
Washington next week.
You are in Washington. Yeah. Crikey. That's a worry for the United States of America. Right, OK, that's it from us. I'll see you tomorrow at 8 o'clock for Tottenham against Fulham. And Sunday, we've got Game Day Live from 2 o'clock. Crookie and I will be at Stamford Bridge. Have a great rest of the afternoon. H&J are next. And don't forget, we've got loads of live football on the network. Download the app for this weekend because you're going to need it.